Today's reading is an all sign. It is about the 22nd degree of Cancer. We've covered this degree in a couple videos, one with the Cazimi and two with the new moon. But I found other iterations of this degree in 2026, making 2026 the most powerful year for this degree. And because of this, we will do an all sign. And in the all sign, we will talk about how this transit impacts you this year. So stay tuned. First, a collective message telling you about the two different activations left in 2026 before the big 2028 clearing out event. You want to stay tuned for that. And then jump to your sun, moon, and rising and watch that section of the video to find out how that's landing in your chart. Hey everyone, I'm excited to tell you that today is an all sign day, which means that we're going to do a collective message and then a all sign message for every single sign. Today we're covering the 22nd degree of Cancer. This is where the new moon and Cazimi happened just over the last few days. This is a powerful activation and in my opinion is one of these most significant transits of 2026. If any of this is too fast for you, I encourage you to check out the new moon and Cazimi videos. They will be linked down below. In them, I explained all of the transits and its significance in great detail. But just quickly, so you get familiar, 22 degrees of Cancer has shown up as a cluster event of many different transits that are activating this specific degree. What's special about this is that those types of things do not actually happen very often. So the convergence of many separate cycles, lunations, and planetary cycles converging at this degree, this specific degree, is very rare. If you have watched the last two videos, I'm going to go over this very quickly for anybody who hasn't, but I want you to stick around and watch the collective message because I found two activations in 2026, which will be the last activations before a big clearing event in 2028. So you want to understand and know when they are and what's happening. At 22 degrees of Cancer, the symbolism that's coming up is of refining relationships, building relationships, and coming together. It's a powerful degree of transformation. It's going to affect us between 2019 and 2037 and beyond. In fact, we will be experiencing eclipses right up to 2085 at this degree that in itself is significant and rare astrologically. So let's go over our timeline with a bird's eye view. This will just tell you what happened and what will happen and is covered in those other videos. So in 2019, we experienced an initiation event. This means that there were planetary cycles from this specific degree between Mars and Mercury, Mars and the North Node, and Mercury and the North Node. So that's quite rare, but not unprecedented. The Mars-Mercury alignment has a lot to do with aligning our words and actions together. So this was a big move forward that began then. In 2026, it looks like we have our most significant year for this activation. In the last video, I wasn't even aware of some of the extra features of this that I'm going to tell you about in today's video. Overall, I see this as a deepening of energy. So we initiated in 2019 and now we're deepening with a full moon in January where Jupiter was at this degree, activating it. Then we had a Cazimi between the Sun and Mercury a few days ago. And then a new moon at this degree in which we talked about all this. In June, we did begin a planetary cycle between Jupiter and Venus. And Venus, Jupiter, and Mars are significant to the pattern of this degree over the years. So you will see Venus, Jupiter, and Mars show up again and again. This points to the fact that this is an activation of love, and relationships. For those of you who are new, a planetary cycle between Venus and Jupiter doesn't end on June 9th. It actually continues for a whole year. So between 2026 and 2027, we are experiencing a planetary cycle that's connected to the 22nd degree of Cancer. So we will be refining love and relationships that have been established and grown since 2019. In 2028, I see a clearing event. A clearing event is just a moment in time when we release old situations, people, relationships, circumstances. I believe this is going to happen because of a full moon eclipse at the beginning of the year at this degree, and then two planetary cycles between Venus and the South Node, and then Mars and the South Node from this degree. In 2029, after the clearing, we are going to experience an initiating event. So something new will begin. We will start a new direction forward from this degree. There will be a new moon eclipse in July in 2029, initiating this. And then in 2030, between 2030 and 2032, there will be another deepening event in which Venus-Mars will form their planetary cycle that lasts 2 years, so between 2030 and 2032, and whatever began in 2029 will again deepen and resonate deeper. This is just for funsies and give you a longer perspective, but in 2037 we have another initiating event, which is a solar eclipse, a new moon eclipse at this degree. Between 1963 and 2085, so again, between 1963 and 2085, there are 11 eclipses at this degree. This is due to a convergence of different astronomical cycles, not just one, and it's quite rare. So it's common that degrees repeat every 20 years for a period of time as they drift apart, but it's rare to have such a long stretch of eclipses at a specific degree and the frequency. So there's a high concentration of eclipses at this degree, that specific, between 19 degrees Cancer and 22, 23 degrees Cancer, but they're all right there over a period of over 100 years. Okay, so if any of this didn't make sense, if it was too fast, I explained all this in the new moon and Cazimi video. Highly recommend you check it out there. And I just really want to add, for those of you who are new, you're doing very good. This is a lot of concepts at once, but just so you know, these are all separate cycles and events with their own math, with their own nature. And the fact that they are converging at these degrees is super unique and rare. There's a lot of talk online about rarity, and in my opinion, because this is considering so many different cycles and so many different astrological events, this makes it extremely rare, unprecedented. So since the last time we talked about this, I did more research and was blown away. So we're going to talk about retrogrades now. And what I was blown away to find out is that all planets except Venus have had their last retrograde over this degree, which is mind-blowing. Outer planets tend to retrograde over every single degree multiple times. This is because they're slow moving, and so they go back and forth in very narrow margins. But the inner planets and the personal planets like Mars, they tend to skip around a lot, and there's little consistency between their cycles and the degrees that they access. So the fact that all of the planets are going over the same degree multiple times because of retrogrades is very unprecedented. And here is our first activation in 2026 that we can connect with since the new moon and before that clearing event in 2028. So Mercury is retrograde in Cancer, and because of this, it will go over 22 degrees of Cancer 3 times this year. So the first activation was June 19th, 2026. The retrograde activation just happened a few days ago. On July 11th, that was the Cazimi. And then on August 3rd, Mercury goes direct, or while going direct, will cross this specific degree again. So August 3rd, 2026 connects us to the new moon in Cancer that we just had, and the Cazimi that we had a few days before, and those other transits in our timeline that I just showed you in the previous clip. So Venus is next to Mercury, and she's not going to aspect 22 degrees of Cancer multiple times because of retrograde, so we're going to skip her. But Mars retrogrades over this degree 3 times in 2025 between January and October. So because of its retrograde cycle, it went over this degree multiple times last year. Jupiter, because of its planetary cycle, it went over this degree 3 times between September 2025 and May 2026. Saturn, because of its planetary cycle, it went over this degree multiple times. The last time it was here between August 2004 and May 2005. And then the outer planets went over this degree multiple times when they were in the area, which is pretty much to be expected. So what does this all mean? It means that each planet that crossed this degree triggered an activation of repeat meaning. So it caused us to get connected with the messages of this degree. Same issues may have come up again for you over and over again, connected with this degree. So even if you're not an astrology person, you can look at these dates and see, were the similar things happening then, maybe from a slightly different perspective? Similar or same attachments kept showing up. This could be people, situations, even vices. And when you're looking back at these times, and specifically 2019 until now, ask yourself, is there a storyline in your life that you are regaining the sovereignty over? So is there something going on in your life, like a story arc or a set of circumstances that keeps repeating, in which you get an opportunity to reclaim it as yours, fix it? And in particular, with relation to relationships, relationship dynamics, so the people you're around, the circumstances that you're experiencing, all of those things. So again, I'm going very slow, but for people who don't know a lot of astrology or are studying it, this is quite rare that there's such a synchronicity between the retrogrades, especially the inner planets. Saturn tends to retrograde over the same degree over and over again. Jupiter too, but the combination, all of them together, and especially since it's the last event of their transit, makes this very special. So I did catch an error in my dates. For Mars, it would have been October 2024 through March 2025 that it crossed this degree. So overall, we're looking at a time period of October 2024 right until August 2026, when the personal planets especially, but also the mid-planets, but specifically Jupiter, are crossing this degree and activating it, creating this repeat of meaning, refinement, exposure to attachments, and rewriting your narrative, rewriting your story arc. So just remember August 3rd, 2026 as the Mercury activation, which will have something to do with communication about the issues we're going to talk about today. So before the clearing event in 2028, we have one more solar activation in 2026, or one last activation, and it's a good one. And that is a Sun sextile to Mars, which is a 60-degree activation when the Sun is at 22 degrees Virgo and Mars will be at this degree, 22 degrees of Cancer. So sextiles open up opportunities and pave the way forward. And this is going to begin on September 14th, 2026. This will be our last activation to this degree before that eclipse in 2028. So take advantage of it. Under this sextile, you may experience a new opportunity, something that's coming into your life to deepen your experience of love and relationships. There's something new that's coming into the dynamic. So if you're talking about a relationship, there could be a new aspect to the relationship showing up or a new person. There's a turn of events concerning this degree and the messages that it's embodying. So there could be a drift in a new direction. And for people experiencing some kind of a staleness to the situation, there could be a new course of action. Look out for new people, new experiences, new opportunities. The repair of relationships becomes possible then. In situations that involve a hidden truth or deception, there could be a truth that emerges at that time, or clarity is made about a situation. It's a wonderful time to communicate about what's been going on. Someone's hard work pays off, which means that if they've been putting some energy into this area of life, and we're going to talk about the area of life when we get to the all signs section, they will see some kind of a return on their effort. For people that are experiencing stalled efforts and delays, a new path may open up for them to pursue. So a resolution or a way forward in circumstances that are not changing. For people that are experiencing obstacles with regard to schedules, you may find that under this aspect, your schedules will align and you will have an easier time to go forward. Okay, so I want to do a quick mundane astrology overview. It's very top level. It is backed by specific research, but if I mention all of the considerations, this video will get long, so I just want to give you an overview. Mundane astrology has to do with the world, politics, and events that are happening. So I took a look at the 22nd degree of Cancer, and whenever we're doing mundane research, we have to consider that the news events that we're covering are often skewed to the negative because, yes, there are announcements of discoveries and wonderful things as well. However, news often is dominated by world events that are of a serious nature. So we have to consider that when we're studying patterns with regard to cycles and returns and things like that, that our findings will skew to the negative, okay? But even with that, what I actually found is that this is a productive and positive degree. So out of the events that I looked at, which is events at the time there was activity at this degree in the past, I found that 70% of those events were of a stabilizing nature. So they were positive, productive, and constructive. 20% were structural transitions, and by that I mean some kind of government change or social change was happening, and only 10% of the events that I reviewed were of a volatile nature or involved some degree of conflict. And overall, the presence of conflict at this degree was very rare. So what are some of the patterns that I saw? And if anybody's interested in learning more about this research or having me break this down further, we could do a members only session. These types of reviews usually take an hour or two, so they are less popular for a general audience, but if members or individuals want me to do them, then please let me know. And I can give you the specific dates that I considered, events, we can talk about them. So the most common type of event at this degree was institutional action, which is like passing laws, making decisions, and paper trail events. Again, that refers to passing laws and organizational things of governance. So when transits happened at this degree, when different planets activated this degree, there was a consistent pattern of institutional and government action. So just a couple examples. In 2026, in June, UK government passed border controls on immigration. In 2026, on June 6th, EU revised its cross-border data transfer policies. So a lot of bureaucratic stuff was going on then. And back in 2005, between January and March, I guess this was activated by Saturn, the U.S. financial agency adjusted its rulemaking procedure. So a lot of procedural stuff, kind of boring but necessary, okay? But it's definitely stabilizing and productive. The other pattern that showed up fairly consistently, was science and tech bursts of activity. One specific example that came up in my research was the observation releases of near-Earth objects. So very scientific stuff, and that had some consistency over the transits that I was checking. And this was over the last 20 years or so, not much further back than that. What was also quite active, and it's kind of bureaucratic but a little different, was legal enforcement. These were things like ICC filings, SEC filings, and other formal procedures like that. So whereas I see the institutional activity as more bureaucratic, procedural, the legal enforcement was more to do with organizing laws and more focused on enforcement of rules and standards. So these were the three most common categories that I saw, and I did take a large sample. I know this makes it look like there was maybe 10 different options and 7, 1, and 2. No, there was maybe a lot more, maybe 100, a lot. So it's a pretty big sample that I used. And so this was pretty consistent. And like I said before, anything to do with violence, like an armed conflict, was present but very low. One thing that kind of gets under my skin when I see people doing assessments like this for astrology is that they hype up things like armed conflict. And it's important to recognize that on any given week in the last hundreds of years, there was armed conflict somewhere, right? So we're just looking at this in a top level overview without being too nitpicky about it. But just keep in the back of your mind before you start worrying about conflict and violence. Just remember that on any given transit, any given day, there is conflict in the world that makes the headlines of news and things like that. So that's going to show up all the time. So again, when people jump to conclusions and say, oh, violence will happen, things like that, I get a little iffy about it, because essentially violence happens all the time. So yeah, that's the mundane astrology overview. For our personal astrology, what that just suggests is that we should be expecting some stabilizing events, maybe some structural changes in our personal lives, maybe a little bit of volatility due to the changes that we're experiencing. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to your individual sign readings. So excited to do those for you. I hope you like this. Give me back feedback. I know I asked for your feedback about horizontal versus vertical, and I hear you, but for now we're testing the vertical to see how it goes. It's much easier for me to film and do things like that with it, but let me know if you hate the vertical. It's good on a smartphone though, so I'm surprised because a lot of you are watching on smartphones. So anyway, so let's take a look at how all this astrology will impact your zodiac sign. Make sure to watch for sun, moon, and rising. I think it's a fairly big misrepresentation to suggest that people should watch for their rising only, especially in a general chart. I would watch for my sun, possibly my moon next, and rising. They're all important in my opinion, but I think sun-based readings are probably the most accurate. Okay, so Aries, for you, the majority of the transits happen in your 4th house of house and home. Of course, when you watch the general readings, that is mostly aligned to your chart. Transits here have a lot to do with love, relationships, more of a family orientation. And under this transit, the energy has a lot to do with a preparation coming to an end, which means that you're approaching something such as an unveiling, some kind of coming out into the open after a period of preparation. Under this transit, you get a big relationship boost, and the relationships that you are in are very lucky and really help you to transition underneath this energy. Under these transits, you want to focus on systems, work, schedules, and timing, and pay special attention to love, romance, and relationships. They're your guiding light. When we are experiencing the activations at this degree, expect boundaries with coworkers to be refined, and especially people who require you to do an unfair portion of the work. Under this transit, you're going to renegotiate the balance in your workflow. This gives you more time for family and family connections. I should have made it clear that we're looking at 2026 here. This is a 2026 focus as opposed to looking at the transits in 2030 and beyond. So under this transit, technology is going to free up a lot of time for you. This will leave room for you to spend with your family and have more time to yourself. Expect environmental changes at work, specifically in the fall. So this will change how your work culture or how the social aspect of your work feels. This may be a change in co-workers or a change in bosses. Some of you may find that you move closer to work or you find an easier route to get to work. This allows you more time at home and with your family. Situations may come up in which you refuse overtime. It might be required of you to put in extra work and you'll be like, no, I'm not doing this. And that's going to be the right answer in that situation. It's all activations that give you more time and space with your family. Depending of where you work, if it's a big corporation or a smaller company, HR may have a compliance audit. Again, the energy is of shifting work dynamics that free your emotions, mind, and time to direct towards love, relationships, and family. This includes shifts in management and workplace investigations, which put pressure on the employer to comply. So, in other words, in the fall especially, you may experience a loosening of the grip at work, which frees you up for more family time. So under this transit, you may find that if you've been waiting for accommodation for disability or any kind of personal issue, it's under this transit that you may see it finally approved or some accommodation may be offered to you. This is going to leave you more emotional space for your family and for the people you love. Under this transit, you may find out that you're getting wonderful reviews. So this is a time that you do want to go over how you've been doing with your boss. It's kind of like giving you some kind of security for the road ahead. So the loosening grip of your employment and relationships at work are going to free you up for deeper personal connections and more time at home. Okay, so let's see what the tarot shows us. Our first card is the beginning. So you're starting something new. There's definitely a pivot that's coming up for Aries in the near future. It's probably concerning work and it's going to improve your family life. Let's see what else is going on. We have the 8 of Stars. So communication that's coming in is going to be of a positive nature, encouraging you, helping you forward, helping you to find solutions to things that are holding you back. Here is the next message. Then we get the Tower. So with this reading style, I can actually clarify all kind of difficult cards. This is the Tower. Something unexpected is coming, but based on the astrology, it looks like something is happening at your workplace, not to you. And whatever's shifting at your workplace is actually in your own favor. Let's see what else we get. We have the 7 of Pentacles, the 7 of Trees. Bide your time at work. It does feel as though there is some kind of a different set of priorities, or there's some kind of a shift that's going on that's favorably affecting you. A coworker who's really harsh to deal with is being removed or is leaving, and it's giving you more time to spend with the people you love. There are going to be rocky times in terms of the workplace itself, but I have a feeling that has to do with the workplace experiencing this, not you. Let's do 2 more for this card. Even though I'm pretty satisfied this is good, somebody is reaching out to you through these transits. It's the Knight of Hearts. It could be a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Somebody's offering love and support in this new direction. This could be a positive relationship with a coworker, but it can also be a person with whom you're intimately connected with. There's a really strong energy that's supporting these transits of love, especially over the next year. So love and relationships for you are a centerpiece of this energy. And then we have the 4 of Stars. Some of you are actually forming more serious relationships at this time, coming together and making commitments. Some of you are going to be buying homes. Others are going to be getting married. So there's some kind of offer that could be made to you to form a relationship with someone, to move in with someone, some kind of a closening of a relationship, a very sweet energy that you have now. Let's see some Lenormand cards to finish up for clarity. So we have the Ship, we have the Tower, so work. Moving for work is possible. Going in a different direction for work, maybe even switching offices. Then we have the Path. There's a decision that could be left up to you in which you decide which direction you want to go. We have the Child. You could be around someone who's much younger at work. They're really easy to work with and very friendly. I also get the sense that they are impressionable. So, like, you can teach them the way that you want to have them work around you and they will be compliant. And then we have the Cross. There's a responsibility that you're taking on in the near future. If this is buying a house, that could be one option. Or moving in together with someone. There's an increased amount of responsibility, but overall this is positively impacting your family and your love life. So this isn't like an overburden or something that's going to weigh you down. This is a very uplifting energy. Okay, Aries, I hope you enjoyed the video. As per usual, you're my guinea pig, so I hope you liked this message. I will be back with more videos soon. So stay tuned and I'll see you soon. Okay? Thank you. Take care. Hi, Taurus. You're number 2. So I'm just getting used to this new format. So sorry if I sound super focused, but just know that these activations that I'm talking about are specifically for 2026, more so than the other years. We're just seeing what's happening in 2026 with this degree. Overall, you're waiting for some kind of family support. So this is like agreement from a family member to move forward with something. So just to show you where this is in the chart, here we have it, the conjunction or the new moon, 22 degrees of Cancer in your 3rd house. Your transit is closest to the IC, which has to do with like our rootedness, our childhood experiences. So our foundation. So these transits are deeply transformational for your foundation. So you're having a huge overhaul moment of some kind. When I was preparing your reading, I really sensed that you were waiting for someone to agree with you, to do something, to get on board, to give you the go-ahead. But your focus should be right now on creative output, dating, and children as a larger category. It's important to pay attention for luck through your family. Your family is your meal ticket, your access to luck and opportunities. This will continue right through 2027. So let's go through some of the qualities of this degree and how it's being activated in 2026. You may experience a repair of relationships under this transit. So if you have conflict with family members or with siblings, there's real opportunities to spark new connections or repair your connections. Especially in the fall, you're going to have a very happy, easygoing moment, especially in the early fall. So everything's going to be more casual and easy to deal with. And during that time, if there's miscommunications, remember, since we're talking about the IC, things can get personal. And so if there's some truth that's hard to access, people don't want to talk about it, especially in the fall, you may find that there is this opportunity to address issues, again, in a very casual, easygoing way, like going for lunch and talking about it, or going for a drive and finally breaking the ice. Also, you should expect throughout this whole year your hard work to pay off. So if you've been working really hard towards a particular goal, especially if it's in the arts or creativity, expect that to be paid off and finally see some positive returns on all your effort. You may find that a broken schedule gets fixed, especially between yourself and family members. So if you're finding yourself isolated from family members, hard to connect with them, disconnected, you may find that your schedules finally align and you can see each other, and that makes it easier. Your creative projects that are waiting for some kind of approval may get approved at this time. So if you've been submitted a proposal or a request regarding something creative, you're finally getting the okay on that. If you've been dating someone kind of quietly and not many people know about it, or if there's a romance in your life that's secret or private, expect that to become more in the open. No drama, just more connection in a public way, maybe meeting each other's friends or more openness in your relationship. Okay, so people around you are extremely lucky, not just in 2026, but in general. This transit is hitting your third house. So they may be introducing you to very important people, including prospective love, especially in the fall. So if you're single and you're ready to mingle, be nice to your neighbors. They may know people who know people who know people, and you may make very nice relationship connections through them. It doesn't have to be for love. It can be for other types of relationships as well. But generally, be very nice to your neighbors. So one thing I would give you as a suggestion is to buy yourself the equipment you need for whatever it is that you're doing. So invest in yourself in a mindful way. Buy the next piece of equipment that will level you up. If you're working for a company, get yourself nice gear, whatever you need to show up a little bit better. Under this transit, you may find out that a sibling or a cousin needs your help. This might be something that requires a lot of your time. It's really important that you help them, and this will lead to a deepening of your relationship with them and some very long-term positive consequences, such as them helping you in the future, or there's some kind of continuity with when you help people at this time, that favor will be returned many times over. But overall in 2026, I would focus on the fact that a sibling, a cousin, someone about your age is going to need some degree of time investment in the form of help. If you've been dealing with a custody issue, and my advice is not legal advice at all, but if you've been dealing with some kind of custody issue, that may become increasingly better, especially between September and October, through not legal action, but more improved communication with your former spouse. And another thing that you should really make room for in your life is an improvement in your social life. So that doesn't come without any effort. You have to go out, have fun, mingle, connect with others. So that's your task for the next however many months we have left in the year. Go, socialize, have fun. Remember, our key dates are August 3rd. That's anything involving communication. That's Mercury activation of this degree. And September 14th. That's the sextile between the Sun and Mars. So those are your two key dates for all of these things. Now let's look at the tarot. Okay, let's take a look at your tarot cards. I used the Psychic Tarot double deck for this. We might come up with a double card. I haven't had one come up double yet. I've been waiting for it, but we have the base chakra. I have a feeling somebody's moving around you. Maybe not you necessarily, but maybe a sibling or a cousin is possibly moving out. I'm getting intuitively that there could be a separation in their relationship, and that's why your help is needed. Then we have Seven of Cups, that's Venus in Scorpio. Choose wisely. Some decisions need to be made about the direction that you're meant to go. I think that there's quite a bit of emotions at play with this decision. It represents to you a break in the past or a separation from what was happening before. Then we have the third eye chakra. I don't know how spiritual you are, but this is an activation for you. So depending on what type of spirituality you practice or how you approach it, there's some significant truths that are coming into your realization. So expect this to be a sacred time for you. I'm sort of understating the impact of relationships on you, especially through the end of the fall, like personal relationships, romantic relationships. Those play a really big part in your life. With Seven of Cups in romance, there could be an overindulgence or sensitivities that are triggered by opening yourself up to someone, and that becoming sort of a point that you have to balance with your other life commitments. So a relationship that sparks your heart and you're falling in love, you're feeling all these wonderful things, but it's also getting sort of overwhelmed, and the need to balance. And I think spirituality is your answer. So get in touch with your spirituality. Think about the significance of things. Think about how it makes you feel, those kinds of things as well. And then we have the firm foundation and achievements. So this is the Four of Wands. Very similar to Aries, some Tauruses have placements near Aries. So watch the Aries video if you do. But Four of Wands to me suggests maybe a closening of a relationship. I'm really picking up on, I love when I use the psychic tarot. It's sometimes very emotional and like very intuitively impactful. I have a sense that you're really experiencing a sacred union with someone, tenderness, from a really spiritual place. So there's this energy here of slowing down or wanting to slow down so that you can enjoy the energy while the world wants you in all these different directions. So make sure to make time for whatever love-based relationships, whether they're romantic, family, or other, that require your time and attention. We have the Eight of Cups, which is Saturn in Pisces. We just had that transit and it ended this year. So for the last 2.5 years, this could be to do with a relationship. Maybe some of you have had a relationship that left you feeling sort of empty or no relationship at all. And this is kind of like your counterbalance to that. That may have left you in this philosophical sort of mindset. So everything is kind of connecting through the third eye. You're seeing everything from a higher perspective. And then we have the Ace of Pentacles. So out of everything you've been through, and it kind of is suggesting that you've been through some things, not terrible things, but maybe some isolation, maybe some redirection. Something really wonderful is beginning for you. This is a yes for love. This is a yes for having kids. This is a yes for initiating relationships. But particularly the energy here that's really strong is love and relationships. Something is really drawing towards you, or you're feeling drawn towards someone. Let's pick some Lenormands. So our first message is the spyglass. So taking a closer look, maybe you've gone through like a personal review of things, of your life, of your personal life recently. And then we have birds. I have a feeling that you drew away because of gossip. So you drew away from people because there was too much gossip, too many details, kind of pushing and shoving. The sun is about to hit this area of my house, and I like how it's just kind of begun to light up your reading. It looks very angelic. And then we have the bear. You became closer with someone who's very substantial, like someone who's you can trust and someone who is dependable. This is a very strong relationship. This could be a woman, especially if you date women. This could be like a different type of relationship than you've ever been in before. I think you're really taken aback at the consistency and the the truthfulness of this person. So I'm not talking about like body types or things like that, but this is like a substantial person. They really hold space and they're kind. And I think that that's a really great match for you. If you don't date women, this could be a very close relationship or something to do with your siblings, a person becoming closer with a sibling. Now this could be a man, but I'm getting the vibe that it's a woman. Then we have the scythe. Something quickly changes or has changed. There's a real clearing event around you that's happened, and this prepares you for the new beginning that's up ahead. This year, remember? And then we have the child, new beginning. So something unexpectedly happens. Ace of Pentacles does suggest that it could be pregnancy. So you have pretty active 5th house through the fall and even now in July when I'm reading. So there could be a pregnancy, there could be a new beginning. If you're not of the pregnancy age or if that's not your thing, there could be a pregnancy coming into the family. If the pregnancy is coming into the family, it's very lucky. Okay, so I hope you liked this message. Sorry it's a little wonky. It's one of the first readings I've done in this new format, but I hope you enjoyed it and I will catch you next time. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye. Hey Gemini, thanks for joining me. Let's take a look at this transit. I should have specified in the intro for everyone that we're looking mostly at 2026 activation. So yeah, we're talking about the whole transit in general, but specifically we're looking at the activations this year. So for you, the transit activates the 2nd house. So you have this long-term improvement with money. So you have the money transit. Congratulations. There's a strong component of family activation here, especially in the fall. So the 2 dates that really stand out for me are August 8th. That's Mercury passing this degree. This could be disclosure of financial opportunities, something going through for you in terms of money. And September 14th, which is a Sun-Mars aspect from Virgo, which brings family into the equation, which means good for money with family, family helping you in a financial way, helping you to take the next step, family backing, all that good stuff. So in 2026, what I would pay attention to is family intervention. That's more like family stepping in to help you towards a goal. A lot of returns on investments are possible. Maybe on August 8th, maybe you see something creeping up already. And also transitions, and that's a hard word, but due to someone's transition, you may come into some money or the organization of your family sort of changes. And this helps to boost your financial position. So what I would tell you to pay attention to are invitations from people. So you are going to have people invite you to places and you should go. Some of you might travel to see friends nearby. And if opportunities arise to go to the other part of the city, I lived in Vancouver for a long time. It's a really low to the ground, but widespread city. So I would have friends that I wouldn't see for years. We both lived in the same city, but it was so far that we wouldn't see each other. So you may travel within your city or to a neighboring town, depending on your situation. If you have these invitations, go see your friends, go be social, accept invitations, travel to see them. So let's go over what this all means. So you're supposed to talk with your family about your problems. I think this has to do with family activations in the fall. So if you're going through something, open up. Maybe around August 8th. This Mercury retrograde is very good for that because it's activating that degree, the 22nd degree of Cancer, over and over again. So this is improving communication and helping you to talk about the problem. So if you're experiencing some kind of a difficulty that you would like family help on, or maybe just some advice, then this is encouraging you to talk with family. So there was something about the fact that other family members were handling money in a way that was negatively affecting you. And so whatever that problem was, like overspending, not earning enough, and this is more like extended family, not necessarily your immediate family. I think that there's going to be significant improvement with how they manage their money, how their money is working right now, and that's going to take the pressure off of you. So, if you have a sibling and they're struggling, you want to help them, you will help them, right? But it's nice when they get a hold of their problem, whatever it is, and then that pressure is off. You may also receive some kind of financial benefit from a wealthy family member. So a wealthy family member might actually give you money over the next few months. I would be paying attention on these dates for any offers. So if that wealthy family member invites you somewhere, right? If they invite you to their house and they live the next town over or even in the next state over, you should go. Maybe they won't tell you, and when you show up, they're like, here's some money, or here's this wonderful antique that I have. Whatever it is, you're going to get something from someone. It's possible. This isn't true for everyone, but these are the things that I'm getting from this transit. I also got the message that a family estate might be getting sold, such as, a grandparent's home, or whatever, and maybe you're one of the beneficiaries for that. So you might see money coming through the sale of an estate or a home, and this can provide you some secondary income. A custody conflict between members of your family. So this isn't your custody dispute, but maybe a sister, a brother, somebody else. Those custody disputes are about to end, and I feel like you've been somehow participating in it or helping through this situation, so that custody dispute gets resolved and now things calm down and improve for you. Some of you may experience that your stalled home plans, like moving or buying a home, now get a refresh and you get to move forward. So some of you have been waiting a long time for something to do with a home to improve, to get underway. And now whatever you've been waiting to do, move, buy a home, something to renovate, now you can go ahead with your plans. So there may be something involving a financial sink. A financial sink is just when you put a lot in and it just keeps putting more and more money into something, like a bad reno job that turns out to be a bigger reno job, all sorts of different complications. So a financial sink that has been affecting you financially, to do with the home, maybe to do with the family, that gets removed and you'll have more breathing room because of it. For those of you who are experiencing a bad housing situation, such as like mold or something that's really hard to live with, you're going to be leaving, or it's going to be improving. Like a bad neighbor or someone else who keeps interjecting, so you can get out of Dodge, right? Get going, move on, get out of that stress. I see stress leaving you and you finding more calm, more money, better connections, but accept those invitations and have fun. So make sure to have fun, to connect with people. If you're getting invited somewhere, go do those things. Okay, Gemini? So let's take a look at your tarot. Okay, so let's see what we have going on for Gemini. Okay, so we have the 9 of Cups. So wish fulfillment, something is going your way. I just got a download saying pay attention to the red flags, and if you avoid the red flags, you're going to head into something very lucky. Then we have Sun in Scorpio, 6 of Cups. I feel like you're spending time with people from the past a lot. I feel like connections with the past are lucky for you here. I feel like the people that you're dealing with are people that you know. So it's not like people that you've never met or knew, like you know what to expect. There's a lot of foundational trust that you're working through. So Taurus had like the IC transit, which means it was at the bottom of their chart. You still have transits hitting your IC, which points to childhood, connections with family members who are your own age, cousins, things like that, or people who you're really bonded with, people who you knew since high school or even kindergarten. Let's see, we have the Tower. Now, don't worry. With this type of reading that I'm doing now, I'm able to clarify cards like this. It always gave me so much stress to read because I'm like, I only have so much room to do this, and what if that comes up? So they would come up more. Now I'm like, phew, we'll figure it out. It's okay. So there's some kind of change ahead of you. If you're living in a home where it's kind of shaky or questionable, like the landlord is questionable. There might be something affecting the landlord that is going to cause you to have to leave. So sudden changes, but it won't be something happening to you. It will be something happening to them that prompts you to leave. It takes the pressure off of you or leaves you unstuck. Okay. So if there's something happening around you that's going to open up the road for you in some direction. And then we have the King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra. Somebody might step in to help you with this situation. I do get the sense that there could be some degree of being frazzled or like on edge about things. But an older person, this could be you, but an older person comes and helps in this situation. This could be a man or a woman, but I am getting more of a masculine vibe. And I do feel like it's not you, but it's another air sign person. So essentially something happens, you have to either move fast or something changes very quickly, and a person comes in to help you manage the stress. You just went through your first Uranus-Mars conjunction. I should probably do an all sign on that as well. So these are powerful planetary cycles that will happen in your sign every 2 years until Uranus leaves the sign. And so like a lot of unpredictable things may show up around you, not necessarily to you, right? But overall, I think that this Cancerian second house thing, very lucky for money. So I do feel like there's maybe some degree of being financially stuck in a circumstance, not of your own doing. It's just life. That's how it feels. And there's something changing that's freeing you up, that's allowing you to make like more independent choices, things like this. And then we have the Knight of Wands, Sag, Leo, or Aries. There's going to be someone who comes in with more information on an issue. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a cousin or a sibling. And then we have Wheel of Fortune, like a good turn of the events towards something positive. This is Jupiter. Something that has potential to be unlucky turns around and is very lucky for you. So I think you should really go with the flow on things, and as things come up, don't worry so much, just let them happen and move through them. But I actually do feel that it's not happening to you, around you, and you just have to accommodate or adjust to things that are happening around you. Okay, so let's see the Lenormand cards. So we have the Tree. Okay, so this definitely has to do with family. This could be also a separation around you within your family. So somebody else is getting divorced, and maybe your cousin or your brother or sister are staying with you for a little bit as they figure things out. It's going to be a positive experience, not stressful at all. And then we have the Tower. This is suggesting that it does involve work. The houses in which all this is happening are not super house focused, and the North Node is leaving your 10th house. This overall means that there's a shift away from work things. However, the Cancerian energy is super strong. That's money, not work. So I don't know, maybe the money that you've earned from work is leaving you with a good position, and now you're just either investing or trying to use it to better your circumstances. Then we have the Rider. There's definitely someone unexpectedly coming towards you. Someone, and I feel like it could, the potential is that it's a family member. Somebody is coming towards you. Maybe a certain degree it's unexpected. Kind of like, hey, I haven't seen you in years, but here I am. That kind of energy. And then we have the Ring. Ooh, unexpected proposals. These are not relationship houses, but you never know. Somebody's coming to you with an offer. There could be a business offer coming your way. And then the last card is the Coffin. I'm not going to leave you guys on the Coffin, so let's clarify it. That just suggests that there's an end to something. Clouds. We're going to clarify all this. I'm not going to leave you hanging. So we have something comes to an end in an unclear way. Let's find out more. So we have the Moon. We have the Queen of Cups. Some of you are going through a relationship breakup, and there is unfinished business, unclear information. I really feel like if you can walk away without asking too many questions, it would be best for you. There could be a situation in which you're in a push-pull with someone. So there's like a lack of information and you stick around to find out more. but that's not actually doing anything positive for you. And then we have the Star. Sit through the situation. Something lucky is coming out of it. Sometimes people break up temporarily and then get back together down the road. This could be one of those situations. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm still getting used to these, so make sure to like and comment if you enjoyed it. And I will be back with more. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye. Hi, Cancer. Thank you for joining me, and let's take a look at how this aspect will affect you. I didn't clarify in the beginning, so I'll tell you now that we are looking at 2026 activations. So I'm less talking about what that aspect particularly means and more how it's going to impact your life this year. Nonetheless, do you remember when you had Pluto opposition in your chart and I was like, this is the worst transit of your life and da da da. And a lot of you guys were asking like, when's it gonna get good, Veroosh? So I am happy to announce that this is the most powerful transit of them all. So Cancer has the most powerful and the most lucky transit of this particular one, and it's going to last a long time, right until 2037. So you're going to get benefits from this transit until then. So I'm super happy to tell you that. The reason for this is that it's happening in your first house. So this is a very lucky transit. I think it has a strong resonance of love and good things, good energies, and I think that you're going to gain the most benefit out of it. So let's talk about it. So it's the most powerful transit for your sign. Like your sign is experiencing this as the most powerful transit, and extreme luck for 10 years. So, I don't say anything unless it's a good one. So this is a good one. Particularly the activations that we want to pay attention to are August 3rd and September 14th. So that's the Mercury transit, August 3rd, and on September 14th is the sextile between Mars and the Sun. And the Sun will be in Virgo, which is your third house, okay? That's like siblings and neighbors, communication, nearby travel, things like that. So here's the stuff you want to focus on. You want to focus on communication, messages. Paperwork is very important. So finalizing paperwork of different kinds. Siblings, relationships with siblings take hold, particularly through those fall aspects. And then tech and admin. What I mean by that is all types of paperwork, all types of communication. So what you need to pay attention to is to invest wisely. So make sure that the investments that you are making are careful and mindful. So don't waste your money, don't make risky investments. But if you make good investments at this time between 2026 and 2027, very good. Very, very good. Lots of money. Okay. So be careful. Don't invest carelessly. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you make the right choices and if you're careful, if you get a good financial advisor, very good transit. So in the fall, specifically September through October, an issue with siblings might become resolved, and that will allow you to have some breathing room. So you're kind of waiting on a situation with your siblings to figure itself out. It may be a big conflict, but it could be just not a big deal, but you're definitely waiting on that solution, and it's coming. There's something here about spending time with family, and when you spend time with family, you feel younger. It's like you tap into yourself, connect with yourself, and grow. Expect helpful messages to come through for you. So this can be dreams, this could be direct communication with people, this could be visions, this could even be like messages when you're reading a book or watching a movie where something kind of sticks with you. Make sure to write it down, but you're getting helpful messages that are coming to you through this time. These messages are going to help you understand what that 22 Cancer degree is all about. It's going to enrich your experience. At the 22nd degree in your first house, this is like you're really coming into yourself here. Your energy's coming into itself. You're more powerful. You attract a lot of attention, you attract a lot of luck. This is a very good transit for you. So that August transit that I mentioned right here, that has to do with Mercury, and Mercury moving direct through 22 degrees of Cancer after its retrograde. Around this time, you may have to verify some documents. So make sure that you do that. Make sure that you address this. It could be already coming up already at the time of filming in July. So make sure to verify documents. If someone wants you to show them some documentation, do that. Another thing with regard to siblings and cousins is that you may be receiving good news from them. So things are happening in their lives and they may contact you to let you know that there's something good coming your way. There's something that requires that you act quickly or you'll miss an opportunity. So something is showing up maybe in September that requires that you really respond quickly and you act. The message that I'm getting here is that you're really not wanting to put it off. You want to think about it first, but you definitely want to say yes as quickly as possible. Okay? So once you decide, then move forward. A fleeting opportunity is there for you. Okay, so this is what I have for the astrology and the channeled messages. So now let's look over at tarot to see what it has to say. So I received this deck as a gift, so let's use this deck for you guys. I don't know its name yet, but when I find out, I'll tell you guys. So I have the Three of Pentacles first. So important opportunities in terms of your career. Maybe this is the fleeting opportunity that's coming up, something that shows up very quickly and that you have to say yes to it fairly quickly. Overall, this is a really good set of transits for work and career. You might be making very powerful alliances with people, such as like a joint venture or starting a business together. Then we have the Two of Pentacles. There's a bit of a juggle that you have to engage in. So nothing is going to come too easily, but it's not going to be standing in your way. Saturn is in the 10th house, which is obscuring the other transits, but they're still working together towards positive financial growth, positive way forward, material growth, material improvements. Let's see the next message. So we have Justice. Okay, so this is the Libra card, and Libra becomes important for all of us later on in the year, the energy of Libra. Expect something to come up for you in maybe the fall to winter months, such as something that requires your attention, something else that requires your attention. So when you're planning your time ahead, kind of bring to mind that it's possible that there will be something else that requires your energy and your attention. Let's see the next message. We have the Emperor, which is the card of Aries. So Saturn is in Aries and so is Neptune. So there's great opportunities ahead of you if you can figure out the things close to home first. So there's things that you have to deal with close to home, and when you figure those things out, then real opportunities are there for you in the world, including relocation, broadening your horizons, differentiating, but it's all about getting things, like get all your ducks in a row so that you're able to really work at the pace that you need to address the circumstance, to address the needs of whatever it is that you have going on. Now, if this is concerning a relationship, you might be up against a fairly intense standoff with an ex-partner. So, especially if you're going through separation or a divorce, there may be some intense back and forth that's going on. This is telling me to stand your ground, go carefully, and it is leading to a positive outcome. Something requires quite a bit of effort from you, but if that effort is put into the situation, the likelihood of a good outcome is really great. Couple more cards. And then we have the Page of Wands. Somebody is either coming and going or going out of your life. This is a fundamental change to the circumstances around you. This could be someone at work, or this could be someone, I think it's at work. It feels as though someone who you're close with at work is leaving or going in a different direction. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you're going to have to stand on your own a bit more, which actually will give you room to grow. But there'll be this feeling that, like, the comfort of, someone being there may be gone for a little bit. I feel like this is happening partly because of the direction that you're going. Like, you're leveling up, you're going in a new direction, you're ascending. Let's see the next message. And then we have the Four of Pentacles, that's Sun in Capricorn. So although this is not a part of the transits right now, Sun in Capricorn is your 7th house, which points to relationships, an emphasis on relationships. You're seeing a relationship through. A relationship is very stable at this time. Maybe your partner's business is doing very well at this time, and there's success coming from that. It really does seem like you're building something really concrete and strong and good for the long term. Saturn in your 10th house suggests that maybe over the next year and a half, there's an adjusting process where you have to make adjustments to the way that it operates or change the way it functions. But if you're willing to be flexible enough, then the outcome is materially very, very strong. Especially over the next year, Jupiter is in your 2nd house, which is really paving the way for a lot of material success. That, coupled with Pluto in your 8th house, really can create an environment where you can magnify wealth and build a very solid business, assert yourself financially in very productive ways. So I do see a lot of material gain for you, especially over the next year. So pay attention to the dates we mentioned, which is August 3rd and September 14th. Those are activation days for these events. So look for things coming through at that time. Let's take a look at the Lenormand. So we have the dog. There's a friendship that is seeing you through in a situation. There's a friendship that's seeing you through in a situation. Maybe it feels very strong, like a friend from work is very important. And then we have the heart, okay? So there's a very strong fondness between you and someone else. They may be a Sag, a Leo, or an Aries, or earth sign, Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn. It's an alignment between what people do and the directions they're going. So being on the same page with someone, like really feeling that connection. And then we have the mountain. There is some kind of obstacle on the way. This could be like a change of the people around you, a change of the way things are done. That's that Two of Pentacles showing up again. But mountain isn't something that you're supposed to like give up next to. It's something that you're supposed to persevere through. So give it a go. It's going to work out. I feel like this is an earned success. So you're going to be successful. You're going to achieve this level of success, but you're going to have to put in quite a bit of effort. And then we have the star. Big success. That's what I think. I think that like heading into this, it's going to feel like a mountain. Like you have to do so much to get to the other side, to achieve, to accomplish whatever. But I think that like what you're about to achieve and where you are about to be, you're going to be received really well, and it's going to turn out super well as well. And then the last card is the snake. Now, I have a policy. I'm not going to leave you guys on the snake. There is someone coming through that undermines your effort. There's quite a bit happening in your 12th house, especially with Uranus, but Mars as well. We've had the beginning of our first planetary cycle between the two planets. I'm getting someone like connected to technology. Be careful with people who like impersonate you, or some kind of possible technology. I don't know what the word is. Like tech crimes, like hacking or account hacking, things like that. That's what I'm picking up from the snake. Like, write something behind the scenes. Be very careful with your passwords. Use two-factor authentication, all that kind of stuff. There could be stuff happening. And if you are an employer, be very wary of disgruntled employees for the next year or even longer. Be very careful, like what you say to them, what kind of information they know about you. Not because like you have something terrible to share, but more because there could be a person around who's less than trustworthy. And I know how you're open-hearted, and that might be like a negative surprise. So just be careful of snakes. We have the sun. I'm asking about the snake to clarify. I have a feeling that someone is jealous of your joy, which is like a really common way that people are, like envious, covetous. You're happy, you're doing fine, and someone is there not happy about it. We have the Five of Cups. I think you would be disappointed, or you will be disappointed when you find out the situation. Let's see the next message. And then we have the King of Wands. Sag, Leo, or Aries. Didn't we see the page? I'm not saying it's the same person, but I do feel as though this person will help you to figure it out. This person will stand as like an authority figure and provide you support. This person is honest, and this person intervenes in the disappointments that you are experiencing because of snakes. So yeah, you have someone to help you clarify the problem or whatever conflict is there. Okay, so these are a little rough right now because I'm just getting started, but let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you later. Take care. Bye. Hey Leo, it's Veroosh, your friendly neighborhood astrologer. We're going to take a look at how the 22nd degree of Cancer impacts your chart. Overall, the most important thing you need to take away from this message is that this is concerning a private change that you're experiencing. It's nobody's business but your own, what you are going through and what's beginning for you. This is a powerful change that is probably more nuanced than any other sign. By that I mean it doesn't have a clear answer, and in retrospect, in a few years, you will really understand its significance in your life. This is because it's in the 12th house, which has a lot to do with the subconscious, right? So you have to allow it to kind of work its magic in your life before passing judgment. One of the things that is happening in your chart that's super positive is that Jupiter has just entered your first house. This is a 1-year transit in which I expect you will receive extreme help. Something very lucky is entering your life, and it's going to help you a lot. Okay, so if I were to give you a quick run by or run through on what to focus on money. Focus on your income. Budgeting is really important at this time. This will allow you for opportunities in the future, especially through the fall. Buying things of value is very favorable. These are things that have properties in them that will help you grow. So not wasting your money or spending it on things that are just for entertainment, but more so buying things that enrich your life, that make your life easier. So go buy the car, the tools, whatever you need to make what you need to make, or to increase the value of whatever it is that you're doing. Also, managing money is very important, not because you are going to be for lack, but more so to prepare yourself for the future. Next year, you have a wonderful transit hitting your second house, and you really want to lead in with positive footing, financial footing. Okay, so the other thing that I would give you, like if I were to tell you one piece of advice, is to rise and make yourself visible. So whatever it is that you do, you don't have to be a public person or work customer service, but this is your call to action to use the energy now. The energy has already started for you since Jupiter entered your sign. We'll talk about this in a separate video. But to complement that private change that's happening in your life, meet that with expressing yourself in the public sphere, sharing of yourself. One of the things that I need to show you, and we'll talk about this later, but I'll show you now, is here's the South Node, right? And the South Node moves in retrograde fashion, which means that it's moving through Leo. There's something called a Kalasarpa, right? Which is the benefic energy of a half of the chart. And as the South Node moves past these transits in Leo, the quality of the energy in Leo is going to change. It's not going to be bad, don't worry. But in terms of that magnifying, opportunity driving energy, as the South Node moves through your first house, it's going to create less and less space for that multiplying dynamic. So multiplying dynamic means that exponential growth, that exponential exposure. It's not a bad thing. It's just overall you're turning more inward, and there's a time and a place for everything, right? But as the South Node moves, and definitely when it makes the conjunction with Jupiter, that is your timeline, okay? Until the South Node joins Jupiter for the biggest amount of growth. Meanwhile, we're talking about Cancer, right? Which is your 12th house. There's a lot happening in private, a lot of focus on private matters that ultimately help you grow. Okay, so here are some messages for this transit that I think will help you a lot. There's an income shift in your future. So this means more money, or the way that money is made makes your income becomes more accessible. This gives you more time for rest, and that's the important part. So income that opens up the door to higher quality of life is here. And this is a longer term transit, several years. So just ease into that, take the opportunity, and make sure to rest. Like rest came up for you very strong. So give yourself time to rest, recuperate, have a full night's sleep, eat well, spend time in nature, all of it. And then income grows proportional to that. So there's paperwork that clears a heavy burden. So there might be outstanding paperwork for some of you guys. And when you clear that paperwork, the burden attached with it clears as well. So you're on your way. Not all of these are not going to apply to everyone. So just pick and choose which one is relevant. So expect new allies to come in to help you share the burden of financial responsibilities. This could be new business partners, or this could be the development of relationships that you've already established with people with whom you already know or have rapport with. But this has to do with like financial matters. So new allies take center stage in your life to help you manage financial responsibilities. So there's something here about stalled financial efforts. If you've been experiencing stalls, like where you want to go and what you want to achieve, they're going to be cleared out, and now you can move forward on things you've been waiting for. There's something here about shifting finances, which means reorganizing your financial responsibilities and commitments. And when you do, this gives you more free time. So a lot of these energies have to do with like freeing up time so you can spend time with the 12th house energy, spend more time with yourself, contemplating life, growing. That's the energy that's being created for you. Financial liberation that helps you to sit with yourself and to process information so that you get grounded and so that the breadth of your experience increases. There's some kind of audit that some of you are experiencing, and it might have had a very long process. If you are experiencing an audit, it goes in your favor. Some of you are leaking money. It might be due to a subscription you forgot about, such as like a monthly subscription, an annual one. So make sure to check all your payments and subscriptions, because you might be losing money every month, every so-and-so time on something like Netflix that you completely forgot about and maybe don't use. So this can go both ways. Work payroll. This could be payroll affecting you, like you're the recipient, or people who work for you. There may be outstanding issues to do with work and payroll affecting how you get paid or when you get paid or when you pay out. And it's something that involves quite a bit of paperwork, a lot of overhead. That's going to get resolved. I sense like a really strong amount of relief around paperwork, bureaucratic paperwork, kind of waiting, anticipating working maybe with an agency as the agency reviews whatever it needs to review. There's something also about a new person who is entering your life. This person is a helpful, maybe a mentor or a bookkeeper, an accountant. It all has to do with money again. So someone who helps you to organize your finances, organize your books, whatever it is that is outstanding. There's people coming in to help you manage, sort, and organize financially. So make sure to really pay attention on August 3rd. That has a lot to do with paperwork, bookkeeping, communication with institutions. So if you're being audited, that might be a date that is resonant for you. And then the second date is September 14th. And I think that that will be very lucky for love and resonates more deeply with the energy of receiving money that buys you time so that you can indulge in that Cancerian expansion that you're going through, that subconscious growth, things coming to the surface, all of that. Okay, so let's take a look at your tarot reading to see what other energies we can get. Okay, so it's really bright outside, so I made it a little dark. So hopefully it's not too dark for you. Mary L. Tarot, let's have a look. We have the Three of Pentacles. Some of you, I'm getting like maybe the 12th house stuff has to do with family. Like maybe you're having another child or beginning like a new phase in your life within your family, and it's quite private. I get the sense that there are very private things happening around you that you don't want to share with the public, but it's transformative for you and your future. Let's see the next card. We have the Five of Wands. I think you have a lot on your plate, like you're nervous about a lot, or you're nervous about where things are going. I think that there could be like long-term career concerns, like mid-long-term, like 5 years, and I think they're valid. So I'm not trying to make you scared or worried, but if you have concerns about your career, about the way things are going, especially if you're wondering like how shifts are going to impact you and how things are going to change your circumstances, I think that those are valid concerns. And I think the astrology supports those concerns in the sense that, like, moving forward, I think it's best to prepare early. I'm not saying bad things will happen for you, but I think that it's better to prepare early and have less stress later. Okay, the next card is the Empress. So yeah, the cards of pregnancy are showing up. So this doesn't necessarily mean pregnancy, but that's the vibe I get. So pregnancy might be a thing. If it is, it's a very private matter. So it's not something that you're sharing. Maybe you're not even telling your family. It reminds me of like when people like surprise their parents and then they have a kid and then like the mother comes or the parents come into the hospital or just randomly they show the baby. So the parents were not in on the pregnancy at all. That kind of energy is there. So this could be like an unexpected, hidden, private matter. Sometimes people do that because it's a high risk pregnancy. So they don't want to worry people or that kind of stuff. So that could be one of them. This could also involve like improving material conditions, specifically like buying home or moving to a better location. This could be also, the energy keeps coming up that it's a very private matter. Like there's something happening of a real private nature that you don't want other people to know. And I'm not sure why. I think it's probably different based on situation, but it's it's not like a terrible thing or something evil. It's just you're keeping something very, very private, and it involves family, home, things like that. Here is the next message. We have Temperance. That's Sagittarius. Okay. I think that you're worried of getting like carried away with things, of being reckless or choosing things that are going to undermine your future. I think it's justified to feel that way, but I also feel as though maybe you're overly concerned about things right now. There's like a too much anxiety going on. So I would never tell people to go against their instincts, but gently kind of nudging you to tell you that, like, assess what you're actually worried about. I'm not saying there's no reason to be concerned, but you may be overindulging in the feelings of concern and worry. Maybe you had a reckless streak in the last 6 months, maybe 6 months, yeah, in which you made choices that brought you close to something seemingly dangerous, and I think it spooked you. Possibly. It's possible. Here is the next message. We have the Page of Cups. So new relationships are possible. This could also be a secret relationship. It could be a secret relationship at work. It could be with a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, or someone who has secondary placements in Earth. Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. This could also be something to do with work, which involves like your family and your children as well. So this could be some kind of a project that you're working on, or some new beginning that's happening for you to do with work, like a store where everybody helps or something else like that. Here is the next message. We have the Three of Cups. Somebody could be coming back into your life, maybe someone who was taken out when Pluto was in Capricorn. I sense the desire to want to keep certain things hidden and private for this time. So this could be like someone from the past that you're not like ready to integrate into your life yet, but it's some kind of maybe even a secret relationship or a secret friendship. Not secret, but more like kept quiet or out of the spotlight, as they say. Maybe you're trying to see where it goes. The thing about it that I get in terms of like interpretation, intuition, is that it's really sincere. So the connecting point there is genuine sincerity. Here are your Mormon cards. So we have the Birds. Oh, so you're in a gossipy environment with lots of people, lots of opinions. That's what I'm like, why are they being so quiet? It's you're around a lot of people, and that Saturn moving through your upper house, that makes sense for me now, because it's like you see that being a problem in the future, and if you see that being a problem, the gossipy environment, I think you're bang on. Here is the next message. We have the Scythe. So quick and sudden change ahead of you. This could be more to do with other people than for you directly. Your company might be going through some kind of overhaul, the place of your employment, or if you're self-employed, then maybe, but this feels like somebody else's business is going through something, and there's quite a bit of gossip about it. There could be a very like headstrong person who's managing that business. This is a person that you carefully have to walk around or like handle very carefully. So there's a lot of stuff in which I see you as sort of skirting around, you know, not being deceitful, but sort of being careful, okay? And then we have the Garden. So there's a lot of abundance, particularly with your family. In terms of material possessions, you've accumulated a lot. I always say like it's all relative, because someone who's going through a lot might find that triggering, but whatever is relative to you, your circumstances and your situation, you're in a very good financial path. You're in a good financial position, and it's improving. And that arc of improvement is 2 years plus. Here is the next message. We have the Broom. I feel like maybe a Sagittarius is up in your business. There's a Sagittarius that you might have to move out of the way. Maybe somebody's coming in closer and you're trying to hide it. And a Sagittarius, they don't have to have primary transits in Sagittarius, but maybe like moon or rising, something else than the sun. But it's a very nosy energy that they're not being malicious, but they're very like gossipy. And they're like, you need to get them out of the way because there's a connection with someone that's growing, and interjections can really undermine it. The last card I have is the Tower. This isn't like Tarot Tower, so we can stop on this, but career success moving forward, long-term thinking. I see a lot of this as like managing situations, so carefully managing the things that are happening around you so that you can find success. You're setting yourself up for success. Remember, like, did you see the pattern? It's all like subtle, personal, kind of, private kind of actions, not being manipulative, but like not telling everyone everything, being aware of like the potential of gossip and trying to avoid all of that. If that's the energy that you're experiencing, that's a confirmation, and you should definitely follow through with your instinct. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Hey Virgo, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. Let's talk about the 22nd degree of Cancer and how that is relevant to your sign in 2026. So we're not talking about the other transits that I mentioned in the collective message. We're actually focusing on 2 dates that are left in the year to activate the transit after the new moon in Cancer and before the eclipse in 2028. Those dates are August 3rd, which is Mercury moving past 22 degrees of Cancer after its retrograde, and September 14th, which is the sextile between the Sun and Mars, and the Sun will be in your sign when that happens. Those are very lucky activations, and the last 2 activations before we get that eclipse on January 2028. It's a full moon eclipse that's happening at the same degree. So what does this all mean for you? It means that you are experiencing a social revival. I heard someone say that this is the end of social relationships, and I personally disagree. Under this transit, especially in September, it's likely that you are forming new connections. And those social connections, the revival has been happening in your life since January of this year with the full moon in Cancer with Jupiter at this degree. So on January 3rd, there was a full moon in Cancer and Jupiter was at 21 degrees Cancer. And from that point on, I would expect increased social activity or a trend towards social growth in your life. Also expect people to be working in your favor behind the scenes. So there are people who are helping on your journey and supporting you at this time. So here's some top level things that you should have on your radar for how this energy is showing up in your life in 2026. So you have a personal push forward. So pretty strong energy, especially in September and October, helping you to move forward, and especially in preparation for Jupiter in your sign next year. You have this heightened visibility again in the fall. This activates your ability to mingle, connect with people, and network. You might be experiencing a bit of a personal rebrand at this time. The South Node has gone through your sign, so you've gone through some version of the dark night of the soul. And now you can start again to refocus your energies and to find the new expression of yourself that is resonant with what's going on now in your life. Also, leadership positions take hold. You are seen as a creative thinker, as a problem solver, especially in your career. A lot of people might be seeking you out for these qualities at this time, but make sure that you're paying attention to your time commitment. So don't overgive to other people just because they see you as a guiding light. Be generous, share with others, but also save some energy for you. And if I were to tell you to pay attention to any one thing, so at this time and over the next year, there will be a massive clarification of rumors that have been spread about you. And there's been a lot of people working behind the scenes destroying your good name or smearing you, maybe competition. Maybe if you're a woman, then maybe other women have attacked you in this way. So over the next year, those rumors are coming to light. So pay attention to who's telling you what, because you're about to be facing a completely different energy when people find out what the truth is. Again, I don't want to trigger anyone, so this is good. This is not like, suddenly worse rumors are going to get spread. No, this is the clarification of smears or hate campaigns that were done behind your back. So if I were to tell you to pay attention to anything, it's that. And the clarification of those rumors, of course, allows your friendships to grow more naturally. So new people are coming into your network at this time. These are people who are highly aligned to your values. I really, really urge you to be very discerning about who you let in and why. So don't be too quick to let people in. Make sure that you vet them first. And be very careful and discerning about who you're bringing into your circles. This is because many of these people will stick around for a very long time, and you don't want to let people in who are not worthy of your frequency, of your energy. And especially if you are coming off of something nasty like rumors, you don't want to get yourself wrapped up with people who do that kind of thing. Collaborations and joint ventures are very favorable at this time, but again, you have to be very discerning who you align with and why. So the foundation is trust and mutual understanding. This isn't like running towards something quickly and, joining someone just for the sake of connecting. This is about carefully choosing your allies with like-minded people, honest people that help to elevate you and where there's this mutual dynamic going on. Some of you guys have been actually affected by rumors and gossip in such a negative way that it stalled your effort moving forward. Under these transits, there's much more fluidity happening for you socially. So efforts that are tied to social issues or social connections and networks suddenly flow much better, and whatever lies have been said about you are being dispelled. And those lies, if they're holding you back from something, then you get to move forward on those things you've been waiting on. There's lots of aha moments, and despite the fact that you probably don't want to keep people accountable, like in the sense of, publicly announcing it or telling your friends, people are going to find out who said what and in what way about you. There's going to be a lot of disclosure going on. And I get the sense that you're not the one who's instigating this at all, but there's going to be people with like egg on their face for doing the things that they did to you. So people have gotten up in your business quite a lot right now, and some of these people have like a powerful way about them, so this could have been very destabilizing. You're going to clean up your broken schedule at this time, and there's like a big decluttering event that's happening for you here where like unnecessary commitments are getting taken out so that you can focus on what matters. So if you're behind on things, or if you have like scheduling issues, if things are difficult for you to manage right now, that's being improved. So there's a lot of freedom that's overcoming you connected to this degree, 22 degrees of Cancer. And you may find yourself committing to a large project or goal this year. This is something huge. This is multi-year, big projects. Because the road ahead of you is being cleared dramatically of debris, of unnecessary opinions and unnecessary people, you can make some long-term plans. And I think you will be. You'll be making long-term plans, whether they're personal or professional, creative, whatever. There's some long-term decisions that you're undertaking. And I think the South Node having finished through your first house is very healing for you. And so you're sort of ready to move ahead on the next phase. So I just forgot to mention this when we started doing the messages, but not all messages apply to all people in the same amount. So just take and leave what you need to. You can come back to this later and see if something else has come up. So some of you are experiencing a lot of attention because of this. It's a shift in focus, and you're coming out as a shining one. So expect, whether it's in your family, friendship group, workplace, or wherever, expect a lot of attention to be directed at you, especially through the fall. So there might be a romantic interest that shows up. I see a lot of pressure lifted off of your shoulders, which gives your life and life force the ability to grow in multiple directions. Like, things that have been stalled are flowing naturally for you now, especially in terms of social relationships. And with that comes exposure to romance and love. You don't have particularly strong love transits that are of a long-term nature right now, but I think that the distractions that have been in your life, I sense a lot of distractions are being removed. Opinions, people in the way, those kinds of things. And this allows your romantic life to flourish. So there are possibly people that are behind the scenes that are not necessarily like front and center, who have been waiting for the opportunity to get to know you better. Stuff like that, like people who have been waiting for the right time, or maybe you've been putting off a relationship with someone until the right time. I think like a better time is emerging for you now for personal things like this. So if you meet someone around this time, especially in 2026 through 2027, this person may be a catalyst for expanding your social circle. So whether it's one person or a group of friends, it's very likely that the people that are coming into your life are also like social lubricants for you. So you may end up making lots of connections through them at their introduction, stuff like that. Okay, so what I see for this is a personal turn of the events, and it's very lucky, okay? I sense that there's been delays or a dampening of your luck for recent years or maybe months, and I feel as though something is being cleaned up, and I think that's Jupiter in the 12th house, and that really kind of, that energy has been holding off a lot of blessings for you, and now that things are getting cleaned up, all those blessings are going to come at you very intensely. And since Jupiter is about to move into Virgo, expect like a pretty nice long story arc with regard to those kinds of transformations. So if you've been wondering like, where's my luck? I think it's coming. Okay, Virgo, let's do some tarot. So I have the Morgan Greer Tarot, which is my favorite deck. I think it's my favorite deck overall. So we have the Seven of Wands. So you've been putting up quite a standoff there, Virgo. Standoff with your family, friends. It may not have come to like actual blows, but like you've been standing on business and like defending yourself from the way that people tried to position you in their life, you know? The way that they silently or quietly tried to coerce you to go along with like what they want at your expense. Pretty strong. And I get the sense that it was like a long fight, like a long standoff. I get the sense it's been months, if not years. Then we have the Queen of Pentacles. That could be you, Virgo. I just get the sense that you get to go back to being you again after a period of serious interjection, or for women, I get the sense that there's been smears, that there's been like other women working against you and dragging your name through the mud, and that ruining opportunities for you. And now you kind of clear the path, and now you get to receive what you've always deserved to have coming, and you can stop, you know, having to defend yourself. These are not like discussing things. This is more like, you know, people who quietly try to put you in a specific place that makes it convenient for them at your expense. So they limit your shine, or try to limit your shine by undermining your position. And you've been like fighting against that. It's so manipulative and so coercive. And then we have the Magician. Somebody's in your life that is a big catalyst for this. This is a Mercury card. And with the Mercury Cazimi and the activation on August 3rd, this could have to do with those dates. Mercury's pretty rooted in this degree. This all started with planetary cycles between Mars, Mercury, and the North Node in 2019. So it had to do with communication. It had to do with like information sharing. And we're in the middle of this transit. This isn't the beginning or the end. We're right in the middle. And this is probably the biggest year. I call it the deepening. So yeah, there's something happening here for you in terms of communication. If you've been waiting for like your name to be cleared, maybe you broke up with someone, like with your ex-husband, ex-wife, and they like took all the friends with them, but maybe the truth is coming out now and some of those people are coming back in, or maybe some other reputational harm being alleviated is done. And then we have the Sagittarian card, which is Temperance. I think a lot of you are going to turn to how do I say this? This burden is being taken off of your shoulders and you're turning to art. Things like that. Not everybody has to be an artist. Some people are gardeners, some people are this and that. So I think that surprisingly, when all this happens, I think you're going to turn to some expression of your true nature, and it's going to be like very free, you know? So it may be art, it may be music, you might write poetry. There's some expression of yourself. You're interacting with the world, not necessarily for money, although money may come with that later on down the line. And then we have the Strength card, which is Leo. This could be suggesting that this is happening very soon as Leo season, which is literally like 5 days away. And it's all about fortitude. This is also your card, right? So Virgo has like the ability to like be patient with a situation and then initiate when necessary, right? So if we're getting the feeling that there's some kind of obstruction in your life and you're managing a complicated situation with a heavy obstruction, you may be the one who's kind of like pulling the trigger on that, you know? And the strength and fortitude to me suggests that like stand on business, Virgo, like you're really, you know, when there's the right opportunity to act, you do so. Here is the next message. And then we have the Three of Wands. So you're going to make some big moves and sort of take a step back in a situation. This does not mean like something is failing for you, but it's almost like you do what needs to be done. And then you go do your thing, your creative pursuits, whatever it is you're doing. Maybe some romance, maybe some kind of, I don't know, there's something that's occupying your attention and you're enjoying it. So it doesn't feel like so much like work unless you enjoy your work. So you're really focused on something, being creative, having fun. You do something that changes things, or someone helps you with a situation, and you sort of take a step back and you watch everything unfold. So it's like a very like active but like passive, like you're not arguing with people, you're not persuading anyone, you're just letting things unfold. So let's take a look at the Lenormand. I would say that I know Cancer has the most powerful chart of all of us, but yours is pretty, in terms of the reading, pretty strong. So there's some kind of somebody maybe have drawn you into a compromised position. This could have been a past relationship that you had committed to and you got tangled up with this person and you've been trying to like get rid of that frequency, like manipulative or compromised position. Likewise, now that you're free, now maybe you're ready to move forward, and maybe that involves commitment for some of you. The next message is we have the house. So some of you are remodeling, some of you are fixing the house, cleaning. There's a lot of like Virgo, how do I say this, dilly-dallying going on. There's a lot of like, you know, just taking care of things. It's very nice. It's good. And then we have the Child energy. Some of you are really bonding with your children. I get the sense of distraction, and that now that distraction is lifting, you're focusing on what's important. And then we have the bouquet. Okay, bouquet. There's definitely gifts that are coming to you out of this situation. Money, presents, consolations. Like, not consolations, but like, I get the sense that like people want to make it up to you or whatever it is. And then we have the heart. So you're bonding with the right people. You're bonding with the right people in the right way. These are perfect Lenormand cards. I sense that you've been through a heck of a lot, especially recently. And I think this transit, and it's impacted you socially. And I think that this transit is elevating you out of this. The transit really began in 2019, right? So this might be a part of a larger pattern, but specifically 2026 can be a transformation for you. And I do see, I mean, these are all kind of like around the house kind of cards, like house, child, bouquet, heart, ring. Some of you might be just spending a lot of time with your families. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. Make sure to like and comment. I'll catch you next time. Enjoy. Bye. Hey Libra, it's Veroosh. So let's take a look at how the Cancer energy is going to grow in 2026 in your life. If I were to tell you anything about this story arc, it's career expansion. So career grows, reputation improves and grows. More people are familiar with you. It's just exponential over the next 10 years. You may be exposed to a secret connection in the fall that's going to open a lot of doors for you. So this is really on the hush hush. People don't know about it. It's a friendship more so than anything else. Very good rapport. This person makes you laugh. So I also get the sense that friends are very lucky for your business. So this is doing business with friends and through good connections, making money, being successful, having a good time. I see your walls up a little bit for now with regard to more intimate relationships. We'll get into that in other videos, but I think you're very focused on relationships where like the boundaries are very clear about where you stand, but still kind of tongue-in-cheek, still cracking jokes, still having a good time. The key dates I want you to keep in mind as we talk about this are 2 activations that are left in 2026. August 3rd, which is the Mercury transit over the 22nd degree of Cancer. This is the 3rd time Mercury accessed this degree after its retrograde. And September 14th, which is a sextile between the Sun and Mars will be in this position. I would say that maybe your chart is going to experience the most benefit from this transit. This is a great time to initiate something, and especially if it's through this secret connection that you have. Maybe some kind of investor on your project or a collaborator towards some kind of business venture. Very, very nice. So here's some focused concepts to kind of get familiar with the energy. You might experience a lot of private matters going on. So I see you working a lot behind the scenes as opposed to like being in the public eye or letting your family or friends know everything that's going on. This is a time when Libra is going to surprise people. Okay? This might be a time for a spiritual retreat. So you may choose to go somewhere really private where you can just recharge and relax. I see you sort of in like a forested area. I see kind of, I mean, it's different for everyone, but I see like tropical, or even like I live in the temperate rainforest. So there are rainforests in the north as well, northern hemisphere. But I see like a foresty environment with like a hospitality based comfortable environment, and like you kind of being alone and being cared for, stuff like that, just to like regroup your mind and to heal. Okay, there's also the energy of closure and healing, so maybe tied to the spiritual retreat. Maybe this has to do with closing off a situation, finishing, moving past, like a really kind way to make sure that like you're moving past a situation. Or maybe saying goodbye to the past. Maybe you've gone through a loss and now you're just being like very careful with how you take care of it. Okay, there's a couple things that I have to impart on you. Your social life is going to get busy and it's going to be a lot of fun, but make sure that you don't kind of lose track of what's important. So I see you being kind of like alone in a crowd a lot. Maybe you've gone to the same places a lot and you've been there, done that, and you're just going to see your friends, but not as excited about it as you once were. So like this need and focus on yourself while your presence is demanded by people. The other really strong message that I got is be very wary of a personal relationship that is trying to hold you back. This may be a partner, this may be a friendship, but be very wary of someone who's not in alignment with where you are going energetically. This may not be malicious, but their actions may be holding you back at this time, or their opinions. So I'm not saying remove your friend or break up with your significant other. Just be aware that there's this pressure on you at this time so that you can redirect. Okay, so here are our messages for Libra for this transit. Now, not all of these will apply to everyone, so just take it with a grain of salt. Okay, there may be private chaos in your personal life. So there may be a chaotic situation, something that's stressing you out. Now I'm understanding why you're going on a retreat or wanting some privacy. You need to address this chaos, and I just really see it as not like emotional work, but more to do with like structure work, timetables, schedules, things like that. Eliminating chaos by bringing structure in. And when you do that, your public life is going to be very smooth and grow exponentially. But there's something in your life that's causing chaos. The vision I'm getting is like a little dog. So you know how little dogs are like, they bark a lot, or they're like just very like rambunctious. It's that kind of energy around you, just the very like active, destabilizing, not an evil chaos, but like something that's disruptive. Okay, so this is not a message for everyone, but government institutions and your interaction with them will help you with your career. Okay, so there's government involvement. This could be like loans and grants and things like this, or paperwork is flowing very smoothly, or you find out about like different licensing that really helps with your business. So government, your interaction with the government is actually improving circumstances for you in terms of work, businesses that you're running, things like that. So some of you have been experiencing stalled efforts, and honestly, I saw this as a pattern through all the signs. So there may be like stalled efforts that have impacted you adversely, like slowing your life down. But I feel like you can't get through something, you can't finish a project, things like that. And actually, I think you're going to get unstuck. And for you, this has to do with complexity, not just people, not just situations. It's the combination of everything. Chaos. I'm really understanding why you want to sit in the forest just by yourself, because it's like people around you are just so full of energy and they're just a lot to take on right now. And so just give yourself some time if you can. Okay, so this is specific for those of you who are nurturing a broken relationship. So you and your partner may have been together for a while, or maybe you're dating someone and the intensity is there, but there's a lot of like difficult aspects to that relationship. I see that this is a really good time for you to heal that. Things like counseling, you know, spending time with each other, discussing things, facing the issues. There could be like a several year overhaul of your partnership. So if you're already in a partnership, you might be experiencing some kind of restitution, like working things out. I know that's not the right word, but resolution of your personal relationship to improve it. And it has to do with intensity. So there's like a lot to do with like chemistry being really strong. but maybe some of the way each person does things is not compatible with the other, something like that. And maybe like you've kind of been towing the line for a while on the issue, and now both of you just sit down and say, okay, we like love each other, but like this needs to go better. So like a real like adult approach, like let's manage this together. So, and I feel pretty lucky about it. If you're not breaking up and Saturn's in your 7th house and this is happening, it feels pretty good. Like it's worth the effort. Always take my advice with a grain of salt. Make your own decisions. But that's just my feeling about it, that there is this like space for maturity here. So good luck with that. I hope you figure it out. Okay, some of you have paperwork issues. So this is not going to be necessarily something that springs up on you later. If you already have failed to file, have outstanding paperwork, if you're delayed on paperwork, I see a process of heavy, intense work ahead of you, but you're getting things completed. And I think that as Chiron is transiting into your 8th house, if you can complete paperwork and like things with deadlines, especially if they're past the due date, make sure to finish those things ASAP. So I also get the sense that someone finally understands your position, and this really clears the way for like a more calm or clear road ahead. So with their understanding, it could be one person. I'm getting a man, maybe an older man, but it could be several people. People understand where you're coming at things from, and when they understand, it opens up your path. So there's understanding that's opening doors for you. The other thing, and this is very similar to Virgo, although yours might be something that actually trailed you from the time you were a child, lies about you are going to get dispelled. So Virgo had this big message about like smears and smear campaigns. For you, this is like latent lies that are floating around socially about you. They're going to be dispelled, and this is going to improve your reputation. So with this transit, it is in your 10th house. If you have reputational issues over the next 10 years, but especially in 2026 through 2032, there's going to be such a reputational rehab for you, and your reputation is going to go through the roof. So, I mean, unless you've been a terrible person, but terrible people don't watch my videos. So if you're worried about your reputation, if there are lies said about you, I feel like you're being emancipated, freed up. Okay, so let's take a look at the tarot. Okay, so let's take a look at the tarot and see what it has to say. This is like a revised rider deck that I have. I actually really like it. I used to hate it, but now I really like it. So we have the 3 of Wands. It feels as though you're waiting for something to come through for you. And I feel like there's irritation by noise, unnecessary background noise, like people, opinions, situations. You have specific goals going on for you, and other people are distracting from that. Then we have the 9 of Pentacles, which is Venus in Virgo. Venus is in Virgo for the next couple weeks anyway. I feel like you're really wanting to stand on your own feet, even within the relationship. And in fact, if you are in a relationship and there's conflict, it probably has to do with that. Especially if you're dating for the first time, or like just beginning to date someone. You may be dating at this time and you're just wanting to do your thing, stand on your own 2 feet. You feel strong, you feel powerful, like you've accomplished a lot already. And this person has like an issue with that, especially if you're a woman. There's this feeling of like some man telling you like, or being resentful of your independence. And I think that like you have your own mind about it, and it's like or maybe it's your family who's telling you to be more subordinate and less independent, and you're just like offended, you're offended by the insinuation of that. So you're really wanting to stand on your own 2 feet, and you have your goals. And maybe some of the like they're not bad wishing people, but they just have their opinions, and those opinions are not going to get to where you are going, right? Like, so you need to trust your own opinion. Then we have the Seven of Pentacles, long-term investments. Like, you're really doing well in terms of your own commitments, long-term strategies, like things that are on your mind. And I think like even like a 16-year perspective is reasonable. And if anybody is telling you otherwise, I think you should ignore them. I think like I think that trip to the wilderness is a really good idea, actually, Libra. And I think your instinct is right. If you've been wanting to get away, you need to like that instinct to protect yourself from the outside noise is really solid. Then we have the Queen of Cups. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio woman. There could be someone who can really help your growth. This could be at work, but this is a confidant. This could be a man or a woman, but it's someone with whom you share like whatever is going on. And they're super understanding. You explain things to them in a logical way, and they emotionally like hear you, right? And like that being heard is like very regulating to you. This is a person who I think you're going to trust for a very long time. And there's like a very sincere friendship. If it's a friendship between women, this could be one of your best friends, or this person could become one of your best friends in the future. Very, very nice, non-judgmental, supportive, very good friendship. If it's romantic or something like that, you have the sign that you do have a very good partner. Even if like you date men and this is a queen, this would be a man who's very attentive. Maybe that's what's keeping you together despite of the conflicts, that like he actually does care and he is actually attentive of your needs. And then we have the King of Cups. Maybe some of you are planning a long-term relationship with someone. Maybe you've recently met someone and it's moving really quickly. The relationship is moving really quickly. And I think maybe you have the sense that you're in proximity of like a really solid relationship, some long-term commitment. And maybe that's kind of what you need to work on. I would say like a 1.5 year long lead up to major decisions, but like a fast-paced year. And then we have the moon. I think someone is getting scared, maybe both people. I'm getting the sense that it's a fast pace, right? So the fast pace is freaking someone out, which is the moon. Second guessing, backing off. But I think a lot is at stake, and I think that that's reasonable to have like questions about things. When Venus moves into Libra, maybe some of this is going to be dispelled. There could be a conflict of interest too between work and the possibilities that are happening there. And there's a lot. Like I said, 16-year arc for real career expansion for you. So there's that. And for those of you Libras who are very career oriented, you may feel like that's such a incentive. Like, I really want to go into this direction. And then there's this trade-off, relationship versus where you want to go. I have a feeling you can balance both, but you need to figure out how. Okay, so let's pick some Lenormand cards. So we have 2 came out together, so we'll honor it, which is the Woman and the House. There's like a woman who's like, maybe this is you if you're a woman, but there's someone who's planning like something long term, and she's inside of a house. So Lenormand's very literal. And then we have the Ship. There's something that requires that she move or that she goes far away, maybe. And then we have the Heart. There's definitely a romantic connection. There's a romantic connection pressing on the issue. And maybe that's what Saturn is. It's like the trade-off of the different options. The Rider. Ooh. Someone's worried that somebody's going to come back into the picture. Your partner could be quite jealous. I would be very careful with talking about the past relationships, depending on where you are in the relationship. But those of you who are dating, I have a feeling that if you share too much, like, and especially if your ex is something really special, be very wary of jealousy or insecurities. The last card is the Flowers. Someone may be taking a journey, and some of you might actually choose like the career expansion route more so than the relationship. But I think it's the beginning of like an ongoing back and forth. I don't think that this is the end of anything. I just feel like you're being so strongly drawn, or many of you are being so strongly drawn to career things, that I think that certain relationships will just not make it, honestly. I still want to clarify the moon, because for me it's sticking out there, and I'm like, it's kind of like, I don't want to leave anyone with questions. So let's see. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, and then we have the Chariot. I think you have to go and earn your own money, or you have to achieve what you're setting out to achieve. That's you, Queen of Pentacles, for you to feel satisfied. And I think that that's the moon. It's like, if you deny yourself the opportunity that's in front of you, then it's going to play in your head for a long time. So I think essentially the answer is like you're going to choose the career, or you're going to choose the opportunity and expansion. And only then will you be available for this relationship, not another one. So it's really about figuring out how to make that work. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye. Hey, Scorpio. Thank you for joining me. Let's talk about how the 22nd degree of Cancer is activated in your chart in 2026. This is important because we have 2 more dates coming up in 2026 when this degree is activated. Just as a refresher, 2026 seems to be a cluster event of several different cycles happening at this specific degree, several different activations by planetary transits, and even a couple lunations. So first, we have Mercury activating this degree for the 3rd time this year when it moves direct past it after its retrograde. So this will be a communication activation. And then in September 14th, we have a secondary activation when the Sun forms a sextile to Mars in this position, and the Sun will be in Virgo at that time. So this will be actually the last activation through a transit of this degree before 2028. So we'll still get different planets moving past, especially the inner planets. But in terms of large activations such as new moons, full moons, this is the last one. For you, the main theme here is moving abroad is extremely favorable at this time. Now, I'm not telling you to move if that's not in your plans already, but moving abroad is lucky. It can open you up to opportunities. If you're trying to find yourself, you may find yourself when you do so. The second kind of main theme, I think for you that's really resonant, is friendship. Friendship leads the way. Friends open doors to new opportunities, especially in the fall. So look for your friends inviting you places, suggesting that you go somewhere. Those are key data points that you should consider when these transits are happening. Okay, so overall, you want to focus on all sorts of relationships, but particularly those very close ones to you. So love, partnerships, and close, intimate friendships, such as best friends. These connections stand out under these transits, and they will enrich your experience and activate what is going on at 22nd degrees of Cancer for you. So here's a highlight that you want to be aware of. A lot of your success resides on the ability to maintain a healthy work-life balance. So you have a predisposition at this time to burn yourself out, to take up on too much, whether it's in your personal life or at work. And so it's very important for you to maintain that healthy balance between your personal life and your professional life. The other thing I would really pay attention to for you is lots of different opportunities. So these are particularly opportunities abroad or maybe even near you, but something that expands your worldview and gets you out of your regular route of doing things. So look for those opportunities. They will be coming up for you all the way to 2037. And they are the activation points for transitions that you're going to undertake that are going to expand your reality. Okay, so let's look over the main energies or frequencies that you may want to be aware of. Okay, so If you're in a relationship, or maybe you'll be in a relationship at some point over the next year, people with whom you're connected to are the key to your growth and expansion. Your partner might push you in a new direction, and that will open a bunch of opportunities for you. So pay attention to suggestions or ideas that your partner has. So under this transit, it is likely that you and your partner will have very meaningful, soulful communications. If you don't have a partner, this can be achieved with your friends, your best friend, people that you're very, very close with. There will be a lot of important talks that you have that leave you like feeling like you really opened up your soul and that you met someone at that soul level. If you are experiencing broken truth with someone, so that means that communication has broken down or there's something fundamentally misaligned in your communication, this is a great time to heal those broken connections. And that's directly through these deep talks, deep communication. Repair of your relationships is possible under this transit. I don't tell people to go back to bad or harmful relationships, so that's not what I'm talking about. But if there is some issues in your relationship that's keeping you separate from your partner, this is the transit in which both, or maybe you, have the capacity to communicate at this expansive levels to be able to meet each other at a new midpoint, a new point of connection. Some of you are engaging in very hard work in your relationships. So maybe you're in a long-term partnership that takes a lot of time. Under this transit, you and your partner are going to experience success. Whatever relationship that you're in, whether it's platonic or romantic, the effort that you've been putting in, and it could be substantial emotional effort or mental work, that's going to yield for you a positive outcome. So under this transit and over the next year, you may become connected with a powerful ally or friend. This is particularly strong in September and October. So you may make a connection at that time with someone new, or someone that you already know may step up into the position. They become more centered in your life in some way, and they become a friend, but more of an allyship. This means that they have your back. Maybe you help each other. There's that exchange of extra energy there. Overall, the energy is developing very deep bonds with someone who helps you grow. So the activation for you is not just finding deeper truths within yourself or some kind of a spiritual life journey. It's through the connection with someone specific, and it could be multiple people, that activates within you new points of awareness and personal growth. So this is very much about friendship, love, and let's just be clear, this can be multiple points of connection or a network of people. So this may not apply to everyone, but if you're experiencing some kind of external pressure, you may find that a friend is going to defend your honor or stand up for you or give you recommendations. So this is a time when you're really connecting with people in a profound way, and they will feel motivated to support you and uplift you. Okay, so let's look at the tarot and Lenormand to see if we have more messages for you there. Okay, so let's look at the Morgan Greer Tarot to see if we have some more messages for Scorpio. So we have the Ten of Cups. Yeah, definitely a deepening of connections. This is a card of celebration. It does point to relationships and marriage, but it can also suggest connections with other types of people. Scorpios tend to be socially withdrawn at times. Not all Scorpios, not those Sagittarius Scorpios, for example. But even in a crowd, Scorpios have the tendency to kind of be alone in the crowd. And actually under this transit, that energy really breaks for you, in which you get connected with others. There's integration there. I sense a very happy time for you. It's much lighter and much more elevated than like the heavy, intense energy that some of you are used to. The next energy is the Four of Cups. So people are going to be offering you energy. And by that, I mean ideas or just kind of like vibes. So you'll be around people who introduce to you different sorts of frequencies. They may tell you things like, go over there, or I just heard about this and it sounds fun. But it's also like an attitude shift at times, which means like if you're feeling a little melancholic or something like that, a person may approach you and bring a complete frequency shift, such as happiness, joy, a sense of adventure. Let's take a look at the next card. So we have the King of Cups. Now this could apply to you if you're a man or a woman. So this card could represent you, and it could represent someone else. This could be a Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. Kings also have the energy of fire, so Sag, Leo, or Aries. There is this deepening of the bonds as a main theme that's going through your chart at this time. This could be an offer of love or a deepening of an existing love that you have. This could be an established friendship or establishing of a friendship. The presence of a person who's very trustworthy and a friendship that will deepen over the years. Now, with this type of transit where we have transits for many years in 2028, 2029, 2030, there are pivoting points. So there's 2019, which was an initiation, 2029 is an initiation, 2037. And I could suspect that certain people at those times will shift in your life in the sense that other people will come in to fill this role. So you become closer with different people at different points of time, but their energetic signature or what they represent for you is going to be the same. As a guide, as someone who opens you up, as someone with whom you can indulge in those deep, soulful communications. Let's see the next message. We have the Three of Pentacles. That's an interesting flip. This was looking very relationship, romantic. But then we have the Three of Pentacles, which really is about work. So this could be saying that there's a favorable time here for a joint work-related issue or someone who sees you through to gainful employment. As I was focused on your reading, I actually felt that way, that there was someone who was leading you or providing an opportunity or showing the way to something that you never thought you would do before, maybe directly introducing you, but more like pointing in that direction. Since this is all happening in your ninth house, this has that, pointing of the finger, like go over there. So you may experience this several times over the years, but particularly in 2026, and those dates that we mentioned, August 3rd and September 14th. And then we have the Seven of Cups. That's Venus in Scorpio. I had a download about this. I saw a post on another app, and it was saying something about not accepting cups from every direction because some of them may be poison. And what I have to say about that is that you accept 6 cups and it's like a great energy, but that 7th cup can be harmful. Let's see the next message. We have the Eight of Cups. I think someone's protecting you from a bad choice. So I think this person may in some way see something that you're in or you're a part of, such as something at work. And I think they're going to see you through a situation that's misguiding you or is somehow disingenuous. And they're going to help you move on and move past the situation. Now, because Eight of Cups is kind of like an awkward card to end on, it kind of leaves you in a cliffhanger, and I don't like doing that. Let's clarify this. But I actually feel like this is someone who's helping you to see you through a difficult situation. And then we have the Magician. And then we have the Six of Cups, and then we have the Eight of Swords. And we're going to clarify this again because I don't leave things on like a low. So there's something that you really love to do or something that you are a part of that you love. And that is the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups is Sun in Scorpio for those of you who have that placement. And the Eight of Swords represents that there are barriers in the way to the direction that you need to go. So there's something or someone who you love a lot. It feels like work, so it could be a job that you've always really enjoyed. But there are things in the way that are stopping you from enjoying it at this point. I have a feeling that you have to shift the way that you approach this situation, because the way that you would handle it before is not going to work. That's the Eight of Swords. I don't think that you have to give up or it's not going to work out. I just think that you need to adapt to the energy that you're facing now. There's another way for you to get through it. Like I said, I don't like leaving on liminal cards, or I don't even want to call them negative cards, but on a question mark. So let's look a little further. Then we have the Chariot and the Knight of Cups, and the outcome is the Queen of Wands. There's definitely another route for you through the situation. Be wary of false offers. There's this download that I've been getting of these covert types of manipulations where people try to coerce others into inconveniencing them. So in different types of relationships, maybe at work, somebody may be manipulating the situation to make an advantage for themselves, but then playing it off as being courteous or kind or even generous. And they're trying to manipulate you into agreeing to their delusional behavior. So you need to decide how you're going to manage that. I know you're coming out on top. I think the Queen of Wands is you. And if you're a man, this represents you as well. And I think it's going to depend on the type of situation that you're in. These types of people are really easy to play because they want you so much to confirm whatever they're desperate to manipulate. So in certain situations, it actually is in your favor to say, yeah, you're the best ever. You know, just a boss that needs approval, for example, just approve the boss and have a nice day. But in certain situations, especially if they're trying to get you to compromise your position, you might have to take on another response. You have to handle it a different way. And this is where the King of Cups comes in. I think this person is going to help you get through it. I think this person is like your true friend, and I think they have your back. So yeah, you are up against something in which the space in which you existed has changed, and there's swords in the way. There's things in the way now to where you were going, but it's not the end of the road. And in fact, there are some very desperate people who need validation, right? And that can really work to your benefit. However, I get also the feeling that you don't like politics like this, right? You want to be open, and kind of part of your enjoyment is being open and being receptive. But I think that this situation calls for you to strategize a little bit and maybe network with other people. But whatever kind of illusion is being handed your way, you are going to move away from it. That's the Eight of Cups that we saw before. And you're coming out as the Queen of Wands, which is that you're coming out on top in terms of, I don't like thinking of popularity contests or reputation, but you're coming out on top because you've dodged this manipulation. Okay, so let's see some Lenormand cards. So we have the Dog. Yeah, really good friends around you. So good friend has your back. You have good connections. And then we have the Book. So you may be actually hearing secrets, and you may find out about situations before they happen. Communication of a secret gives you the inside scoop before something happens. Then we have the Fox. So this friend of yours, they've been around the block a few times. They're cunning. They are smart. And I feel like you have a person who is kind but wise in the way the world works. And this person is cunning and probably pretty powerful. Well, we do see the Magician, so that energy might extend to them. And then we have the Mice. Yeah, so there's people who are trying to distort, lie, expunge. I was going to say extort. I don't know if that applies to you, but expunge energy. And it's ruining the whole vibe of the situation for you. But just because there's a few mice around, you don't move out because there's mice. You just set down some mice traps, right? One of the main downloads I've been getting also is when you, and this is kind of intense, but when you put when the way that they would capture mice and rats in the past is like set traps for them in buckets. And when they get into the bucket, they thrash around because they know they're caught. And kind of like part of this situation is when you confront people, or when people are confronted with their actions that they're trying to get away with, sometimes they will try to thrash around and cause a stir, right? So you're going to have to be prepared that some people are going to use violence, or not physical violence, but emotional violence, things like that, outbursts, in order to deflect accountability from the things they've done or are trying to do at your expense. But the outcome is the stars. So I really strongly feel that you are the quote unquote victim in this situation. You didn't come into this situation looking for a fight. You didn't come into this situation looking for problems. This is just mice or people who are trying to get at something that you have of value in order to prop themselves up. So just lowly energy, bad energy. But you're coming out on top because you're not coming into these circumstances with, you're not the one acting in a dishonest way. And so that will come out on top. And the person on your side is going to be the person who supports you through that whole sequence of events. So this was a little bit of a long reading, but I hope it helps. Remember, this can show up in different ways over the next year, especially. A little bit of a crisis, but I think it gets you to a better place. Okay? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, Sagittarius. Thank you for joining me. And let's talk about the 22nd degree of Cancer. This is in your 8th house. So over the next several decades even, you are going to maximize growth in your life, as well as deeply improve your community connections. The two dates in 2026 that are worth paying attention to are the Mercury transit across this degree on August 3rd. This is the third time Mercury accesses this degree this year. And then the second and last transit before the big 2028 clear out event is on September 14th, in which we have the Mars, at 22 degrees Cancer, and the Sun will be at 22 degrees of Virgo. This is going to be a powerful activation, a huge moment of transformation for you in your chart. And even from July until September, you might feel like there's a lead up to an event then. So under this transit, a pattern that may reoccur is that your reputation may improve. So if there are things that are said about you that are not true, that becomes clarified, or people speak up about your good nature. It's also a time of career expansion and high social mobility. So under this transit, you can expect things to change and transform for you as you network your way to higher levels of success. Also, expect high visibility, especially in the fall. This is when you are received well and people see you in the best light. So if I had Sagittarian placements, the two main things I would pay attention to are opportunities abroad, so going to faraway places. This will last over the next year, as well as opportunities in education. This is a beautiful transit under which to expand. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the qualities of this transit and what you can expect. So new career connections can actually lead to higher income. Again, this is the strongest with September and October timeframe. So social networking is at a high for you at this time. If you feel that your career has stalled, it may pick up again at this time. Or you can expect general career improvement. So I'm not a legal expert, I'm not a financial advisor, but legal and financial issues will tend to improve, provided you do get an expert to help you. This will allow you to move and improve your living situation. Under this transit, you may find that coordination with other people becomes much easier. So if you've been trying to coordinate some kind of project or joint venture and there's been things in the way, under this transit, you might finally get a go-ahead or some kind of progress finally flowing. This includes general agreeableness from other people. Okay, so one of the things that I would say you should be careful of and wary of is to be protective over your time and space. So this is for making sure that your energy levels do not get depleted. So it's less about time and more about you sharing your energy with others and making sure you have enough for yourself. This is connected with a general awareness of time and how much time every single project makes. This is things like promising people that you're going to do something or help them out without and maintaining some kind of a awareness of how much you can offer, how much you can commit to, so you don't overextend yourself. Under this transit, you may have a don't mess with me attitude. You're going to be quick to cut people off, to stand up for yourself. And when your boundaries are encroached upon, then that's when you'll have a very strong cutoff game. So under this transit, you may really benefit from renegotiating your contracts, especially on August 3rd, but also September 14th. These could be critical days to getting more out of your contracts, bargaining a very good position for yourself. So my last piece of astrological advice or information is that this is a time when you really want to seek out mentors who are willing or able to help you. So people who have stronger position than you, who can watch out for you. They may connect you with new lines of work or important people. So be on the lookout for mentors who are willing to step in and help you. Okay, Sagittarius, let's take a look at your tarot cards. So we have the Nine of Rods, which means that there's a lot of opportunities, but you feel somehow removed from them. Maybe you don't know the culture, or maybe you don't understand the mechanics of what's going on. I feel like it's an information issue, which means that you don't have information to access certain things that you want. This information will come to you through informal channels like people that you know who will tell you things about it. So the goal here is to figure out how to gain information to get yourself on the other side of these barriers, this information barrier. Here is the next message, Eight of Rods. That's like the perfect card to put next to this. It really suggests that there's information coming to you that's of a helpful nature. And then we have the Page of Wands, which is a new beginning. You're getting lots of Wands cards, which are your cards. This is Mercury in Sagittarius. The Nine of Rods is Moon in Sagittarius, so some of you might have these signs. I think that there's a bit of a new beginning happening for you, particularly in the areas of career, but this isn't because of an ending. This is more of something to do with expansion, tapping into a larger energy, so more potential, I guess, through information or new knowledge coming in. Let's see the next card. We have the Four of Swords. I think you're going through some kind of growth spurt where a lot of information is going to come through. Remember, our dates are August, September, so maybe after that time will be a time for you to rest and take some downtime after some kind of growth. Some of you might be hitting a wall with this a little bit, not because it's a bad situation, but because you have to find a way to kind of work your way around it. The next card is the Page of Pentacles. Two pages can suggest like two aces, change of work. A lot of this is in your 8th house. These are new beginnings. This might be starting a new business, investment in something. Let's see what else. And then we have the Seven of Cups. I don't leave you guys on cards that I see as liminal, kind of cliffhangers. So we'll clarify that in a minute. But Seven of Cups to me suggests that you're navigating a place that you don't fully understand or a situation. And I think it's work related. And I think it may take several times before you find the right answer. That's my answer, that you shouldn't give up right away. There may be like several different things you need to try before you find the right combination. Look for like a fiery type person, maybe they're younger, who's sharing with you key information, things that will give you insights and understanding a different perspective, maybe challenge you a little bit. But yeah, definitely new beginnings and the need to kind of tinker with something a little bit. Okay, so let's use the Thoth Tarot to clarify. So we have the Two of Wands and the New Aeon and the Knight of Swords come through. I think you're waiting for someone to show up. So in your work or kind of like career, if you're in school situation, you're waiting for an actual person to show up. And this might be over the next year, so be patient. This person shows up with new information for you. And with this new information, you will be able to position yourself in a different way. I think whatever you're waiting for is kind of a big deal. So this is the Aeon, which is my favorite card. Actually, in this deck, it's my favorite card. We had to cover it up a little bit just for ad purposes, but it's such a beautiful card. That's Horus, the outline, and the goddess Nut and Osiris in the background. And so it's a very beautiful and deeply symbolic card, the best one in the Thoth deck and probably my favorite in all of tarot. But to me, it always symbolizes that something really amazing is coming your way. But I think that in order to fully understand and navigate it, you're going to have to wait for a piece of information, but I think it's a person who's going to come in and show you. This is a Knight of Swords, so Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, maybe. Pretty airy type of person. Let's see a little bit more. We have the Three of Cups. This is something that you keep going back to, and refining. Eight of Cups. There's aspects of it that you need to throw out. So something about it, the way you used to do it is not working. And now you have to have a new path. But look at the success, the Ace of Rods. And that's where I'm going to stop with the tarot on that, because that's what I think is coming. So here is the concise message, because I have to find it when I'm reading. But like the concise message is essentially that there's something that you really want, right? There's something that you really want. And there's messages coming to you to help you understand how to get it. But it's a hard thing to reach. And the best things are typically hard to reach. So whatever it is that is good. There's a need for rest. So you literally need to rest or sleep. And then there's this Page of Pentacles. This could symbolize like new opportunities coming in. But I do think that they're preliminary, which means that not all these opportunities are meant to work out. And then below here, we had the Seven of Cups. And that to me suggests that you're going to have to play around with things a little bit to find the right combination that works for you. But overall, this was my clarifier for the Seven of Cups. And I think that like the vision is solid. And I think that your instinct about the vision, whatever it is for you, is on point. So don't doubt yourself. This is about refining and processing it until you get it right. I think part of the problem that you're facing is that you're waiting for information to come in, and someone's going to come in and offer you added information. So wait for that. You should still keep trying in the interim, but somebody's going to come through with helpful information. And when you find out that information, you will realize that something about the way that you're approaching work, the way that you're doing it, is gone. It's in the past and you need to move forward. If you've watched my channel for a long time, you know that I started as a tarot only channel. I've always done astrology, but I wasn't feeling confident to speak about it at first. And so once I gained the confidence to talk about astrology, there came a point when I really realized that tarot only for me didn't work anymore, and I had to put it aside. Funny enough, this year I've picked up the Tarot Talk channel again. This is a channel here on YouTube that has tarot only content, so you can go watch that. I love tarot, so go check me out there if you want. But yeah, this idea that like putting something away, it doesn't work the way it was anymore, is a part of your success process. And the Three of Cups isn't necessarily people. It has to do with going back to something, refining it, trying and trying again. The outcome is really great. Now let's take a look at the Lenormand. I have this really nice Lenormand Russian deck. I really love it. I don't remember where I got it, but probably on Etsy or something. But I've loved it for years. So we have the moon and then we have the sun. Oh, wow. Okay, that was fast. I think that you are onto something really special. And Jupiter is going through the top of your chart, which is extremely lucky. Now, this Cancer transit at 22 degrees is in your 8th house. This symbolizes the need for regeneration. So, trying something again and again. And I think that it's the combination of these transits that's really empowering you to something successful. Trust your instincts. And then we have the letter, some kinds of communication coming to you. That's the Page of Wands, right? Somebody's telling you something, being a guide. And then we have something very lucky that's being refined. So luck, success, you're on your path. That's maybe why you need to rest, because you sort of made it and now you need to mind your energies. And then we have the fortune teller. And so I'm going to clarify this one, but it's a liminal card for me. It's a special card in this deck. But maybe this is the Page of Pentacles, like someone saying, giving you practical advice, and they're like, hey, go this way. So someone's giving you an insight, but you're going to have to refine it. And this might involve some kind of trip or journey. Since Jupiter is in your 9th house, this would confirm the Jupiter position. So here it is in your chart in Leo. This could suggest that for some of you, travel is part of the solution. Environment is super important. And if you're in an environment that's restricting you, then you can't grow in the way that you need. So it's about finding the environment that is responsive to your needs and your frequency. So for some of you, literal moving, travel, going somewhere else in order to meet your vision. Very successful Ace of Wands, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi, Capricorn. It's Veroosh. And so this is your reading for the 22nd degree of Cancer. So for you, this happens in your 7th house. Oh, yes, you have the relationship chart. So there it is right there where the Sun and Mercury are together in your chart. So yeah, you have the major relationship one. You are beat by only one other sign, and I won't tell you which one it is yet, but you have the second most romantic chart. So hopefully that makes you excited. So the two main ideas that I have for this placement for you is that one, it's for relationships, for love and partnership, but also close friendships. And then there's moving for love. So some of you are going to move for love, relocate, go a different direction. So the two main dates I'm telling people to watch out for are August 3rd, which is the Mercury position at this degree after its retrograde when it's moving direct, and September 14th, which is the day in which Mars, which will be in this position in your 7th house, will be in a sextile to the Sun, which will be in Virgo. This is the last activation before 2028. And if you've watched the Mercury Kazemi and the new moon reading, you'll know that's a clearing event. That just means that at that time we get an eclipse and 2 planetary cycles with the South Node from this position right there in the 7th house, and all old relationships for you will be cleared out. So let's do some focus. So focus is, okay, so you have quite a bit. So there's education. Your education opens doors for you at this time. So whatever you studied, wherever you were going to school, this is going to be an opportunity for you. And then teaching is also very favorable for you in connection with this. Also broadcasting, communicating to large audiences, whatever medium you work in, publishing, also changes in your worldview. All of these things are going to be pivot points that bring you closer to love and deeper in your relationships. So the main thing that I would impart with you, or if I had a Capricorn chart, I would say pay attention and make changes to make yourself available. So make room in your schedule for future opportunities in relationships so that when they come up, you will be open to them. One of our main themes again is moving for love. So for some of you, this requires considerable flexibility. So under these transits, if you are already in a relationship, repair of your relationship. If there's problems, if there are long-standing problems in your relationship, repair of your relationship is really possible. This is really a year-long transit. So look at 2026 through 2027. So these are like nice long transits so you and your partner can fix whatever the dynamic is or what the problem is. Some people in their relationships are experiencing timing issues. This isn't so much core problems, more to do with the timing of availability in your relationship. So your schedules don't fit and it's drawing you further apart from each other. This is a transit in which that smooths out, so there's room to adjust and fix problems in a relationship like that. So with the other two, it's really about patterns more so than a specific issue. So we're looking at bigger problems within your relationships that get resolved. So if there's some fundamental disharmony between you and your partner, you and them have the opportunity to work it out together. It's possible that your partner will move towards you. So it's not just you moving for love. Your partner may move towards you, especially if you're in a long distance relationship. It's really possible that your partner may be moving towards you or becoming closer physically. If you're single, some of you may meet love at a university, especially this fall. So keep an eye out if you are of the university age. I did know someone who was probably in their 90s. I don't know how old he was, and he used to go to classes all the time. So there's people out there of any age. So I don't know, universities may be access points for meeting people. Some of you are working abroad in international work. This may be an access point to other people and a connection to love. Some of you might be traveling to meet someone, so this could be an online connection that you are moving towards to meet in person. I would also expect the rules to change, which will allow you to actually adapt in your relationship. So if there are certain conditions that you're living within that prevent you from being together with your partner or someone that you wish to be your partner, the rules around the circumstances might change so that you can be together. So I'm usually not going to recommend online dating for you guys because in general, I think that it's like a really dangerous and bad idea. But for some of you, online dating under these transits would be good or with great possibilities. So some of you who feel comfortable with that may want to try that. Okay, so let's switch over to tarot. Okay, so I went through that really fast, but let's take a look at your tarot cards. This is the Crow's Tarot, and we have first the Nine of Wands. Yeah, so these are probably the rules that we mentioned in the astrology. So rules are keeping you apart from the person that you love. There can be schedule problems. It just feels very logistical, more so than a real problem like with the relationship itself. So I think that's going to be fixed. In other words, your closeness, your physical closeness is going to be achieved or improved upon, especially over the next year. Then we have the Ace of Cups, new beginnings. For some of you, I'm getting that you're shy to date or having difficulties with dating in general. So if this has been a pattern for you, because one of the themes of today's reading is patterns in a relationship, if you feel that you've had barriers to dating because you don't know how to do it, or maybe you've gotten divorced and it's different now than it used to be and you don't know where to start, I have a feeling that that's a big part of what's going on in terms of a solution. So we do get an Ace of Cups. This could be like a romance that kind of sparks your heart and opens you up to love and the potential of love in your life. Then we have the Queen of Swords, a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Yeah, for many of you, this might be a story involving divorce. So maybe you had gone through a divorce and now you are single for the first time, and maybe the circumstances of this divorce were awkward or made you feel uncomfortable, even if you're a man. Okay, so Queen of Swords can be a man as well. And so there's this like heavy thinking that I'm picking up on, like wondering what it would be like and, you know, how things are going to play out. So I have a feeling that you're getting closer, and this feels like a spark in love, like a interaction with someone. Maybe it's online, maybe it's an online connection that kind of wakes you up, and you're like, oh yeah, I love relationships. Maybe I'll be open to that. Also, in terms of a partnership, so if you're in a partnership, there's also a situation here in which there could be a stalemate between you and your partner. Not necessarily nearing divorce or separation, but like maybe things have gotten pretty stale. And again, something wakes you guys up. So to each other, again, emotionally. So there's kind of a revival going on for love for you right now. Then we have the world. See, travel. It's confirming it. Over the last year and a half, some of you, especially if you usually travel a lot, you may have traveled less. So now that the South Node is finishing its transit of your 10th house, I'm going to show you guys in the chart. So now that the South Node is leaving your 10th house, I meant 9th house. Now that it's leaving your 9th house, there's a possibility here for travel. This could be travel for like different intentions, like more soul purpose travel or inquiring about the world, like quieter travel destinations, or purposeful, like going to see family members might be something that is calling out to you now. Let's see the next message. We have the Strength card, which is the card of Leo. We're on the precipice of Leo season, but we are reading for like up to a year ahead. I have a feeling that a spark is waking you up. It's an emotional spark. I feel like things have been pretty intellectually driven, pretty dry in the emotions department for you for a little bit now. Just every day in, day out, the grind, that kind of thing. And I think something's waking you up, and you may have a little spark of love, and then suddenly you may pull back, or that might not be something that's meant to be long term. And then there's this something calling your name that's bigger, like a bigger connection. Or it's possible that you pull back from an online connection, maybe, or someone who's far away, worried that of the risk that you're taking by opening yourself in love to someone far away. But then it feels like it's kind of overcoming you. And that Strength card is called the Lust card in the Thoth deck, which is like a deep passion goes through you. And then we have the Six of Cups, which is Sun in Scorpio. A lot of nostalgic feelings, emotions taking you over. Taking your actions over. In other words, emotions are going to suddenly become very intense. You and your partner might go for a journey. Over the next year, it's actually kind of recommended that you and your partner go on a journey, like a faraway trip, like a special vacation. So if that's within your budget or your timeline and you can get away together, there could be a really wonderful trip ahead of you. Also, if you're not into the online dating thing, you could shoot for a trip in the fall, September and October. And while on a trip, you could meet someone, have a connection. There could be some kind of wonderful thing happening for you. So I think it's possible that there's love far away from you. Travel is possible. Deepening connection with existing partners. There's a little bit of waking up, but there's also like a little bit of discernment with the Queen of Swords. So it's not like running headfirst into a bonfire, right? It's a little bit cautious, but then once again, the heart wakes up and it becomes quite intense. I want to take a look at this with the Lenormand. So let's take a look. So we have the fortune teller. I'm going to take this out. I'm not feeling this card. This could mean that this is the prophecy. You'll be like, Veroosh, you're right. So there could be like signs that something is happening. I actually already feel it when I'm reading for you. Like I sense that for you, something is on the horizon, like something big, something far away. I sense that like this has a lot to do with a relationship or love. It feels romantic. It doesn't feel like a platonic family relationship. Let's see. Then we have the key. So something, yeah, see, the Ace of Cups has the key right over it, and the key kind of opens the door, and so does the Ace of Cups. So you're going to have an event that's going to give you some kind of minor awakening after a period of some kind of a dry spell, emotionally speaking, maybe just living life without being too romantic. Suddenly something sparks your heart. Very nice card. I like that card there. And then we have the mice. Queen of Swords. So somebody is afraid of people stealing from them, energetic. There's like a cautionary tale here, concern, maybe based on the past. I did sense that there was like some kind of someone being like shy of moving forward with things. So there may be like a pullback in your situation, but just a temporary pullback. I don't think it's going to last. And then there's the birds, which is communication. This is sometimes gossip, but to me, this is like you and your partner having intense communication. A lot of these transits have connections to Mercury, and Mars is also a planet of communication in certain respects. And the planetary cycles that set this whole thing off were in 2019. Mercury, Mars, and the North Node, 3 conjunctions at the degree of 22 degrees of Cancer. So what I think that means is like a lot of communication between you and your partner, bringing you together, just like birds when they talk to each other. It's really cute. And then we have the mountain. So sometimes that means that there's an obstacle to overcome or kind of something standing in your way. But in this reading, because of the Six of Cups and the Strength card, I almost feel like the passion overcomes the mountain. So your passion that's going to be awakened, not the first one, but the big passion, I think that there's going to be very little that's standing in your way to get to where you are going or what you want. Here is the next message. So we have the King of Swords, the Knight of Swords. This might be concerning a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. We also have the Queen of Swords, so that might be actually the same person. Then we have the Empress, the masculine energy. Sorry if this is like a same-sex female or same-sex male relationship, but the masculine energy is the one who's going to initiate something. And then we have Princess of Pentacles. When I said let's go on a trip, you should go on a trip, I felt like some of you guys have children, and that's an obvious, but the message of the trip was that you are going alone with your partner. So this isn't necessarily, bringing kids along. Maybe this is going to be a part of like the challenge, who to take care of the kids. And I think maybe the mother is more hesitant because she doesn't want to abandon the child or leave them alone. But I think that there's something that's really driving this plan, okay, or this direction. We have the Two of Pentacles. There could be financial reasons why there's a little bit of questions whether or not to go in this direction, but I think they'll get resolved very quickly. I get the sense that if you do have a child and if they're like over 14, they want you to go. They want to be alone. They're kind of excited. So, and then we have the Emperor. So the masculine energy is going to initiate all of this and assert themselves to ensure this direction. So in short, I think within a relationship, there is like a journey. It might be, I think it's a trip. I think it's a journey or some kind of a, vacation, but it could be like temporal, like something happening between you and your partner that's kind of like a metaphysical journey. But the masculine is definitely initiating it, and all obstacles that are in the way are getting resolved, like figured out very, very quickly. So it's like, how are we going to pay for this? It's like, well, I set aside this money, 2 years ago, so let's use it now. So all solutions are going to happen quickly, and I think it's going to happen through the masculine energy. And it's whatever path you and your partner are taking is very solid. So I like finishing on this. I think it's a really good energy to finish on. So quite a passionate time for you, Capricorn. I hope you enjoy this energy, and I will be back with more readings soon. Take care. Thank you for watching. Bye. Hey, Aquarius, let's take a look at your sign for the conjunction at 22 degrees of Cancer, all of the transits, not just the conjunction. For you, this is in the 6th house, which seems boring, but I promise you it's not going to be boring, okay? So you make everything exciting, so let's start with that. So first thing, 2 major concepts that you want to think of for the next year for activations in this degree. We have a very lucky partner can really help you on your path. So if you're in a relationship or even a close friendship, people around you are kind of your points of access to luck and opportunity. You're also going to see a deeper alignment as well as improvement on how your life is running in general. So things run more smoothly, a partner who is nice to you and shares their good luck. And the 2 activation points I want you to keep in mind are August 3rd and September 14th. August 3rd is when Mercury will pass the degree 22 degrees for the 3rd time this year after its retrograde. So that's going to be a really good transit for communication, telling your partner how you feel or what you need, sharing with them what's going on, or anybody who you're very close with. So it doesn't have to be romantic, it can be a friendship. And then on September 14th, we have a sextile between the Sun, which will be in Virgo, and Mars, which will be in the position, the 22 degree position of Cancer. And that's going to be the last transit, main activation beyond just a planet moving over this degree before 2028, the big eclipse in January, that's going to start to clear things out. So we'll talk about that later. But in 2026 to 2027, we have a deepening of this energy. So more, not less. 2028 less, 2026 more. Okay, so the main focus that you may want to keep in mind for the activation of the 22nd degree is your finances in general, how they operate, how they run, including improvements in finances and problem solving. Really address your material needs. And I'm not talking about like extra stuff. The things that you need. Do you need a car to get somewhere? Do you need, I'm not sure what you need, but you know better than I do. So not extra stuff, but the baseline needs, are they being met, and make sure that you have that supplied. So this is a time for you to provide for yourself. Also, it's a time to really focus on obligations, specifically contractual obligations. So when you've made some kind of a promise to someone else, whether it's verbal or written, and it's kind of like a contract, you need to see those through, and finishing those is going to lead to increased luck, increased opportunity. So I have one focus point for every single sign, and for you, it's partner bringing you opportunity. I didn't want to write it all out, but your partner is like essentially like a little bird. I don't know if you've ever seen like mating between birds, but how the male bird brings food to the female bird and kind of like jumps around her and provides for her. So your partner is providing for you opportunity like a little bird. So be on the lookout for that type of energy. It's very nice, and it's going to be with you for a year. So here are some thoughts and ideas that I have for this particular transit. In 2026, we see a deepening of the energy. There are so many different transits that are happening in 2026 at this degree. It's important to pay attention. So you want to write down your observations. You're the only sign that I'm suggesting this to, so this isn't a regular writing prompt. I think it's important for you to pay attention to the details and keep track of the things that you need to pay attention to. You'll be happy to know that if you have particularly difficult coworkers, so people who are bad to deal with, who are difficult in general, there should be an improvement with your coworkers. So you can start early to make improvements with regard to that. Remember our timeline, August, September, even October for the most amount of growth in that direction after this new moon that we just had and the Cazimi. So those were the big transits, but there's some little transits that will activate this degree one last time. So if you've been waiting to get paid for something, maybe you do contract work, this is a sign that that payment is coming through for you. This also means that if you have employees and there's been some kind of delay, that payout happens now and everything starts to run smoothly again. Okay, this is a big one. You're also going to likely talk to your boss about fair use of time. I have a feeling that someone has been pushing you to work more than is fair. And I think that that conversation is coming in which you're like, this is not fair. This is out of alignment. Some of you are going to quit your job with the hope of getting something better. So it's a level up quit rather than a disgruntled quit. You're looking forward to new opportunities. Now, in today's job market, I would be very hesitant to tell people to quit their job and which direction to go in general. But you may have that in your heart already, the aspiration that you want to quit, the hope of something better. So if that's the case, then follow through with that. So if you have share investment with someone else, in the fall, it's likely that you're going to get some kind of good return on that investment. So there should be some financial freedom coming in for you or some more breathing room, especially if you have shared holdings with someone else. There's also a balancing act that you're doing between stress and life quality. And you need to make sure that you are managing your stress and enjoying enough of life. When you do, this is going to lead to better money. So the issue of the stress versus life quality question, life balance becomes central. And with the outcome that if you manage stress and life quality well, then you are going to make more money, have more money, things like that. Overall, you should expect changes to your schedule, and those changes are going to be favorable. They're going to give you extra time, more time for yourself, more time for different things, just an easier load overall. And if you're proactive about it and you change your schedule, this is going to increase your chances of success. So for some of you, this means that you have to reorganize your schedule at this time. And when you do, you will hit a sweet spot. And that's when success really grows for you. Okay, so I took a break, and this is the Psychic Tarot 2, which is my favorite deck of the two Psychic Tarots. I'm such a fan of this deck. It makes me so happy. Okay, so let's take a look at the cards. We have Just Breathe, which is the Four of Swords. You probably can't hear it, but I just took a deep breath. So slow down a little bit, change of schedules, changing around schedules to have a bit more time. The pace slows down here a little bit so you can catch your breath and catch up. Here is the next message. We have the Four of Wands, open up. So because I took a break, I kind of lost track of the astrology reading, but I kind of remember, so we'll see what's up. But again, we have this energy of the partner leading the way. The Four of Wands is often associated with relationships, so this could be a slow down time for you in which your partner or significant other is actually leading the way. They may be the one who's kind of picking up the slack or doing something that's highly active, and you're the one who's slowing down or maybe playing a supportive role to their main character timeline. Let's see the next message. This could also be like a time when you fall in love if you're single, and there's like a period of time in which it's the honeymoon period, and so magically you find time for each other despite the fact that you're probably both very busy. So I get the sense that it could be one or the other, or maybe a mix of both. But a slowing down period, a reprioritization of time, shifting out schedules, finding time for something a little bit more sentimental. Let's see. I like reading for Aquarius because I don't have to, how do I say it? I can be a little bit more blunt and be like, it's sentimental. Other people are like, you are feeling this and that. So we have the High Priestess here. I think you're going to have quite a few visions through this transit. So if you look in the chart right here in the 8th house, that has a lot to do with September and October. And so maybe through that time, now that the South Node will have moved into Leo, you've gone through a big clearing event in your psychic area of, or intuitive area of your mind. And so at that time, when we have the activation between Mars and the Sun, so 22 degrees Cancer to 22 degrees of Virgo, that's in September 14th. That could be a moment of activation. Beyond the astrology, the slower pace allows you to get in touch with yourself. As an Aquarius moon, I'm familiar with this energy. So I think Aquarius is a very psychic sign. What happens though, and you guys can tell me if this resonates, but when you have these slower moments of time, that's when messages come in quick. Now, you're psychic when things are going fast, but you don't have time then to think about it. So when things slow down, that's when the waves of intuition hit. I love this card so much. This card is one of the reasons this is my favorite deck. I just think it's so beautiful. So it is that kind of resonances coming in, insight, intuition, just knowing. So I sense stillness with high intuition, high insight. It's almost like Aquarius sees too much to logically process it. And so there comes a point where it's like, this is the boundary of what I'm able to take in at this time. And then the speed picks up again in terms of your life. So I do think that as the pace slows down, you become highly intuitive, or your intuition activates. And then we have the 7 of, what is this? Swords, Wands. This might be 7 of Pentacles. You guys, I might have the wrong cards. This may be 4 of Pentacles, and this is 7 of Wands. Nonetheless, okay, I get the color codes mixed up on these cards. It's fine. So I think that you're going to have insights about things happening around you. And a lot of Aquarius energy has to do with waiting. So you have insight about a situation or circumstances, and it's so ahead of your time that you're literally waiting years sometime before everybody else gets it. It's like you stand on a position, that's the hill that you die on, and you regularly have this experience of taking a certain position, having a certain opinion, and then people not understanding you when at the time when you state it or share it, but then later down the line people catch on. So that's a very Aquarian trait in my opinion. Pisces too, but Pisces is less aware of others in that sense, so they'll just have the opinion and just drift along. Aquarius is more aware of the fact that they're seeing things that other people are not seeing. For Aquarius, the connection is other people, right? Always a connection through other people or for other people. So it can get frustrating sometimes because you see sometimes what's better for people or the better path, and they just don't get it, right? So you have this kind of, this is the hill I'll die on kind of card in this position. So you're going to have some insights. Maybe this is to do with work. A lot of your reading concerns itself with work. Now the transit is slow, right? So it's this year in particular to 2027 is very intense. It's the most intense year for activations of this degree. Then we get the 2 eclipse years, 2028 and 2029. And then we get this new initiation in 2030 to 2032. Go watch my other videos in the description if you want to know more about that. I explained it elsewhere. And then a major eclipse in 2037. So we're literally talking about 11 years, right? So in terms of your career, I don't think you should push. I think you should just wait. And at first you're going to get resistance. Or maybe this is a sign that like the work you're in or the company you work for, ultimately you will want to change, maybe not now, or maybe start your own business if you haven't already. And those visions that you have are an opportunity, because if you see other people not doing it and you're like, that makes more sense, then that's an opportunity. So sometimes when people don't understand you, that's a good thing. Okay. So let's see the next card. We have the Two of Cups. So there's the cups. The green is easy. Coming together, Venus in Cancer. There's a strong energy of love here, in my opinion. So a relationship carries you over. I almost feel like your partner is your PR team or the person who communicates on your behalf. Like, you're not the one who's communicating, they're communicating on your behalf. So they're your intermediary with the world. It's just so you can focus. I sense that you need to focus on things and you don't necessarily want to reach out or, have those connections. So they're kind of working as your PR team or, some kind of person that represents your position. So they speak on your behalf. And I think that could be like a time thing. Like right now, that's the way that it's working. Here is the last card. So we have, now I want to call this the Ace of Wands. Strengthening bonds. Beautiful card though. Okay, so I double checked and yeah, these are the pentacles and these are the wands. It doesn't really change my reading because it's a psychic reading anyway. So for some of you, you're about to be pregnant if you're interested in that with your partner. So if kind of in the back of your head, you're wondering whether or not this is a time of pregnancy, that might be a part of it. And that would make sense why your schedule is getting changed. But this energy doesn't actually shift so much. It's more about distancing yourself from certain variables and then that intuition flowing in. Let's take a look at the Lenormand cards for more information, but very nice. Strong in love, strong in companionship, maybe more at home. Like I see you almost like working on something at home or at the office and being very like home oriented. Like if you're working at the office, you are going home and quietly spending time. It's like a contemplative state that you're in concerning work. So you're highly focused on work, highly focused on what you're doing. I really like this energy for you. And you have the supportive energy of a partner or a loved one. If you don't have a partner, because not everyone does, and Aquarius is kind of the single sign. So if you're single, it's kind of a normal thing. There could be some other people or a mishmash of people that act as these intermediaries for you. So maybe someone at work or maybe a family member, a friend who kind of like gets you caught up to speed on the social aspect of things. I get the sense of keeping your distance almost from social issues or circumstances, not because there's problems, but because you're super focused on something and like you're on to the next thing. So talking to people might not resonate so much right now. Here is the next message. We have the Mountain. So you've went through some kind of obstacle that was hard to cross. Maybe you took on a challenge that was quite a lot of work. Some of you are working really hard, multiple jobs, multiple responsibilities. And again, that makes sense why you're coming up as sort of separate, doing your own thing. Then we have the Scythe. It looks as though with regard to work or with regard to your career, maybe the reason you were working so hard is that something was changing in your career. Something was ending, like a company was about to close or a contract was about to be finished. Some people who do contract work, I was one of them, work really, really hard. And then they kind of had like start and stop periods. So that's what I get the sense of urgency to have to work hard to complete something. Maybe it's concerning deadlines, but it's a lot of hard work and requires your focus. Then we have the Home. Yeah, so we have the High Priestess in the Home, just like very like tuned in. I get the sense of quietude and a relaxed atmosphere. Then we have the Letter, communicating with people. I get the sense like this could be online, where maybe online in the comments section, people are saying this and that, and it's kind of driving you crazy in terms of opinions and things like that. I think there's a reminder here not to argue so much. Again, the energy is that you're sort of ahead in terms of realization. So the things that people are preoccupied with doesn't necessarily resonate. The next message is the Woman, coming together woman, I think you're going to make something really interesting. I don't know if it's going to be valuable or what, but I think the outcome of this is going to be something interesting. And if you're a woman, a lot of you got my channel skews women. So if you're a woman, then I think that I almost feel like this is a literal representation. She's sitting there with the rose and she's looking pretty. It's almost like a sense of accomplishment. There's a book in her hand. So she's produced something and she's really kind of rooting herself in that experience. And the last card, I'll do it very lucky. So you're setting yourself up for some kind of new beginning. So remember, this is the Ace of Pentacles, and then we have the Clover. So whatever you're it's instinctual. So you're working really hard instinctually because you know something's up, like in a good opportunity. You sniffed an opportunity, right? And now you're working really hard. You're in the zone. You're super focused. Don't get distracted by trying to convince other people of seeing things the way that you see them. And then you accomplish something, and then something really wonderful starts. So I'm pretty excited for you with regard to this. A new beginning, something very lucky, an accomplishment. And then remember from the astrology, I was telling you your partner is lucky, your partner is lucky. So it's possible, especially if you're partnered with a woman, she's going to be very lucky with something. And that's going to be a new monetary beginning for the both of you. So, or maybe you guys both got lucky and now one of you is pregnant. I had to say it. A little joke for my Aquarian friends. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you next time. See you later. Bye. Okay, last but not least is Pisces, and you have the most romantic chart. I've done these readings in sequential order, and honestly, I've been waiting this entire time, and you know it's a long reading, to do yours because love is all around for Pisces. So you know me, I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to tell you how it is, but my personal preference is when there's astrology to get excited about. So I'm so happy to be able to tell you that love is on the menu for Pisces, and this transit lasts till 2037. So let's take a look at what part of the chart we are talking about. So 22 degrees of Pisces is happening, 22 degrees of Cancer, is happening in your 5th house. This is the house of relationships. I tried to do this with a key. I have this cool key, but it doesn't feel right. You guys get the pen. By the way, I used the red pen. Everybody else's was black, just because I'm celebrating your win here. So the most romantic chart, love all around, 22 degrees of Cancer, 5th house, romance, love, creativity, children, all the good stuff. From the beginning, you want to watch the intro. There is 2 activations left in 2026. One on August 3rd when Mercury turns direct and goes over 22 degrees of Cancer. And the second one on September 14th when Mars in Cancer creates a sextile to the Sun in Virgo. So this is the last activation before the full moon eclipse in 2028 in January at this degree, at 21 degrees of Cancer. So if you're wondering what's going on, you need to do some catch up because I'm not going to explain it for every sign. There's 2 videos in the description explaining all this. Basically, there's a repeat pattern of transits in Cancer at 22 degrees, highly concentrated in 2026. And these are the last 2 aspects, August 3rd and September 14th, the last activations. So under this transit, you want to focus on some things. Okay, so under this transit, there's a few things to focus on, which is partnership, agreements, best friendships. That's always important. So it's not just romantic love, but super close people that you choose to be close to. Issues of trust, but not in a bad way. Growth of trust, shared interests, love, just enjoyment. I wish I was a Pisces when I found this. Cancer gets the most powerful chart. And I'm so happy to have told Cancer that they have the most powerful chart because they just got such a raw deal with Pluto in Capricorn for so many years. So now they have a nice long transit that stimulates their chart in a really good way. But you guys have the love chart and also offers of commitment. So if you're single, that might not be for long. Is that right? Soon, soon, Pisces. So put your lipstick on, love's coming for you. So if I were a Pisces, and I'm not, and it's so sad because this chart is so nice, but if I was a Pisces, this is the two things that I would pay attention to. So I know this isn't sexy, but responsibilities. So make sure to live up to your responsibilities to your partner, to the people that depend on you, and that will turn out really well. And also the general energy of distractions and things getting in the way, easing up. So less pressure on you. And since you're the last sign, I already know the pattern, but this goes across the whole zodiac. Things that have been getting in the way are getting removed, and there's a way forward for everyone. So there's a clearing of the path here. I am reading when Jupiter is in Leo, in that cradle formation. It's a pretty benefic formation. So all the readings are really uppity, which is a good time. I think that this Cancer activation is really good in and of itself, but the vibes are strong. The vibes are strong for this one. Okay, so now we're going to go in greater detail what's going on. These are half astrology messages, half my own meditation or thoughts on the issue. I believe that truth within relationships. So this isn't about, well, it could be to do with like finally fessing up, but this is nicer than that. This energy is like the truth that on a soul level is reached between you and your partner, like really meeting each other halfway and being able to connect. So powerful moments of connection. That's a powerful thing with a Pisces. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know if I would date a Pisces, but I would love to be a Pisces. It's like, I admire it. I'm like, oh, I wish I was a Pisces. It's just, so yeah, I would like to be a Pisces in love. Not with a Pisces necessarily. Oh, the eagle just flew by. Hello, if you guys don't know, I have an eagle next to my house. Oh, that's a good luck sign. Okay, so just came back from the hunt. He doesn't live in the tree next to my house. He just perches there, him and his wife. His name is Henrik. There's lore. But anyway, so, oh, he's so beautiful. Okay, so back to work. So truth within relationships, flying in like the eagle. Okay, so if you're not in a relationship or maybe within a relationship, expect disclosures of feelings. So people telling you things. So if you're single, like a Pringle, maybe there is disclosure of feelings coming your way where someone tells you they love you, or disclosure of intentions where they tell you where they see everything going. Very nice energy. So stalled creative projects move forward, especially through the help of someone that you love. So someone helps you with easing the burden. And this is also repeat through several zodiac signs. So this is consistent for everyone. The intervention of others, easing of the burden. And in your case, it's creative projects that flow. So if you're an artist and if you've been on a hiatus and that happens, that's normal. This is your time to activate. So what do they say? That you're divinely protected? I think a person has your back. So a literal person has your back right now. You're supported. You have like a cheerleader on your side. They like you. It's just good vibes. Also, your creativity is supported by others. So all of your creative pursuits, the things you're making, people are like, Pisces, we love it more, more, more. So they're loving the energy that you're bringing. And this is for the whole year. This is such a blessed transit. The longer transit extends to 2037, but we have this deepening event in 2026, especially on August 3rd and September 14th. So here's another one. In a relationship, and I don't discriminate, so if this is platonic, friendship, you know which one. You need to speak up about your needs, not because necessarily there's conflict, although it will help with conflict as well. But when you speak your needs, the person or the people with whom you're communicating, because it could be multiple people, they're going to hear it. They're going to understand. You're going to land your request. So if, like, for example, let's stick with the creative theme. You're working on something and you need a certain type of environment. So maybe your friends like to go out and drink socially, but to keep like the same calm demeanor to create what you're creating, a lot of artists do that. I guess I'm one of those artists, maybe still me pretending to be a Pisces. But yeah, speaking your needs to your friends and loved ones will get you heard, and they will reciprocate. They will be able to accommodate your request. They'll hear it. You know, sometimes Pisces has a problem with being heard. I don't know why that is. Well, I kind of do. I think that you communicate at a level, at a register, a lot of people miss. So unless they're attuned to your level, they'll miss the nuance. So you have this very specific way of communicating and thinking about certain things. So they may want to support you, but maybe they don't know how. So at this time, there's this channel of alignment. So if you are invited to something or asked to collaborate on a joint project, you should say yes. So be very open to new opportunities. I always leave that up to you, your critical thinking, your discernment. But yeah, say yes to invitations. So also like attachments, old and new attachments, okay? So whether they're from the past or whether they're new, they grow, okay? And they're very favorable. So you should give yourself a certain amount of time to be social, to be interactive, and to connect with others. This is a time when you're going to be celebrated by your partner. And I think Pisces typically is celebrated by the partners they choose. I hope you are. I think Pisces is a good energy to cherish. Everyone's cherishable. I don't know if that's a word, is it? I don't know. My mom says I make up words because I'm second language. So in my native language and in this one, I make up words. It's kind of fun. But anyway, so everybody's cherishable or worth cherishing, but particularly Pisces, the sweetness of your sign. So especially now your partner's on the same page with you and is celebrating you. And this is the energy of adoration. So being adored. It's a really sweet transit. And I feel like Pisces messages have been a little rough and have been a little bit like money womp womp and like power struggles womp, things like that. Like nobody heard you. Saturn was in your first house for 2.5 years. So that's part of it. So now you get your sweet transit and I hope you enjoy. Let's go over and look at the tarot. So Pisces gets Mary L. I had to cover him up, but here's a Pisces card, King of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, with some fire energy. So let's take a look at what this transit brings for you. So first off, we have the Three of Pentacles. The focus on work is the creative type. And you know, there's exceptions to everything, but I think that's where your energy is flowing the strongest, is through your creativity because of this transit. So it's very beautiful. It's very collaborative. It's very, creative, expressive, non-judgmental. I think that Saturn in the second house, that's where it is in your chart. So there's Saturn in the second house in Aries. That's a tough transit for people because it affects money. But I think that Pisces tends to handle like money slowdowns better than other signs, frankly. So I think that you should go with the flow and direct your attention where energy is flowing. And that is love, relationships, creativity, self-expression. And I have a feeling that ultimately that will lead to financial prosperity for you. Let's see the next message. We have the Star. So fated events. I really strongly have the urge to tell you to just go with the flow. Maybe an Aquarius person is very important for you right now. Look at these cards. They're nearly the same color. These were painted by Marie White. They're called Mary L. Tarot. So in my opinion, they're one of the few fine art decks. I grumble about tarot art, which is it's illustrative and it's nice, but it's pretty just illustrative. Not to crap on anybody's illustration, but I love fine art. And this to me is a fine art deck and it's really beautiful. So in fine art, there's all these different color schemes and things like that. But look at the colors. They're very, very similar to one another. And that's, this is a colorful deck you'll see in a minute. So this means that, to me, it symbolizes that there's some sort of connection. Something wonderful is on the horizon, something that's fated and very lucky. Let's see the next message. And then we have the Five of Pentacles. It's kind of like turning into your own heart to find like the garden there, And if you look closely, it's an Ouroboros that's eating its own tail. That's a snake eating its own tail as like the rim of the window. So there's like a deep truth alignment here. I really like this energy. Let's see the next message. We have the Two of Swords, which is Moon in Libra. I think that ultimately there's kind of like a soul journey that's happening here. And I think that there's a redirection. I think there's something ahead of you that you're meant to reach for, okay? There's something ahead of you that you are meant to reach for. And I think that it's going to take some time to formulate what that is so it makes sense. So now I understand why there may be delays with money or financial concerns, because there's like a reorientation of interests, reprioritization of things, maybe motivated by love or family connections. Let's see the next message. We have the Nine of Pentacles. That's Venus in Virgo. Venus is in Virgo right now, but she'll be out of there pretty quickly. I think that this is saying that, like, despite whatever's going on for you financially, you're meant to pursue a creative path, and that creative path is going to be lucrative. Now, creativity is different for everybody. Everybody's different, like how that manifests. It doesn't have to be art or things like that, but there's another path that is more true to your spirit, and I think that there's like a pot of gold at the end of that path, okay? Let's see the last card for today. Well, I think we can end. Yeah, so it's saying you have to be patient. This is Neptune. Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, so this is your card. So I think that, like, it's saying that there are delays in the practical side of things, like the day-to-day living. But like there's a flow and what I'm saying, sorry, I'm being so like metaphorical, like there is a massive shift in your life in a new direction. Massive, massive, massive. Big shift that's taking you out off the beaten track and expanding your horizons. And I think it's pretty nebulous right now, which means that it's pretty hard to pin down exactly what's going on with it. And I think it's going to be different for every person, but there's something that you're finding in this direction that's going to be abundant and amazing, but expect delays. Okay, so sometimes I get metaphorical. You guys know I love Pisces readings, but I kind of shoot to the moon sometimes with them. So Lenormand helps me ground. And look what I had on the bottom. I won't count this, but you had the star just as I picked up the deck. Very lucky energy. So I really feel like you can just trust the process on this one. Let's see the next message. So we have the man. Okay. We have the man. And then we have the dog. Okay. So a friend is really important. This could be a male friend. A deep friendship is taking you in a different direction. Ooh, Pisces. And then we have the heart. There's the heart again. Look, remember him? He's like looking at his heart and there's a window. So there's like a door to some truth, or someone has deep feelings, or this is concerning love. I mean, it is the love reading for Pisces. You guys are going to be like, Veroosh, do another reading for 22 degrees of Cancer. You guys are going to request it all the time. Maybe periodically we will, okay? So yeah, it looks like I do get the sense that someone may be taking you in a different direction. So a love interest, but primarily a friend. But it does feel like there could be like love intentions behind that direction. And then we have the tree. So allow things to happen. This is a very slow moving event. Tree has a lot to do with roots and like establishing long-term situations. If you're in a relationship right now, your partner is taking you in a new direction. Somebody is bringing something to you. Look, this dog has a leash in their mouth, right? So dogs bring you their leash when they want to go for a walk, right? That stands out for me. So there's a suggestion here that, you're being taken somewhere or you're meant to go with someone. Here is the next message. Someone's taking you in a new direction. Ooh, again, bridges, taking you forward. And I think that this is only in this deck. I don't like a lot of supplemental Lenormand cards, but this deck has really good ones, multiple. I like the bridges card. Someone could be taking you in it. I have a feeling that outside of love, there could be someone who has like especially in creative pursuits, there could be someone who sees material value in something that you're creating, and then they can take that in some direction. But there's going to be delays with the whole process. And then we have the clouds. So the reason there's delays is that there's going to be obstacles in the way. So this is a king of clubs, right? King of clubs. Let me see. There he is. King of clubs. This could be an actual person who's like not feeling it or something, but that's going to clear. So essentially, there will be some kind of obstacle to the direction that you're going. Somebody doesn't have the vision, but that vision is going to work itself out. I do want to clarify, though, because I'm not going to leave you hanging on this kind of combination. And then we have, somebody is being restrictive with resources. It's really like fun when you and a friend decide, like, or you and your partner decide, hey, let's go in this direction. And then like somebody's not having, like the third party's like, what are you guys doing? So like when you have that connection with someone and you're like, hey, let's take this direction, and it's kind of like a wild idea and it makes sense and it's fun to think about. And then you run it across other friends or other people and they're just like, that's not a good idea. That's the vibe I'm getting, that like it's not received well in the same spirit that you conceived of it. I think it's a wild idea, frankly. Whatever it is, I think it's a bit of a creative mess, but in a nice way. Then we have the Queen of Wands. There's going to be convincing. Someone's going to be convincing someone, like sweetening the deal. If money's involved, like incentivizing. And look, Hanged Man, delays. Let's see, clarify. 10 of Rods. A situation is complicated. I don't think it's a bad situation, by the way, Pisces, but I think it has a lot of details to it and it isn't the easiest thing. And then we have the Star. Something very lucky so persist in that direction. There's going to be delays. There's complications and hard to navigate. And then there's going to be some kind of intervention. Something lucky is going to happen. Which is going to push things along in a good way. So I get the energy of push in that direction, and you get reneged, blocked. And then suddenly there's this breakthrough moment, and it's something else external that comes into the situation that I think that the direction that you're taking is a good one. So I'm happy to finish on the Star because it assures a good future. I kind of see what the delays are that are causing like what's going on. It's just a complicated situation to navigate, or maybe like the intensity of what's being done versus the maneuverability is different. So just be patient with that process. You'll figure it out. And then something external comes in and pushes it along. Okay, so this is the last reading. It didn't disappoint. There's a good future ahead of you, and you're meant to pursue the direction that comes up, and you have to be persistent with it. Okay, so I'll catch you next time, and thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye.